great ideas. Hey, you didn't ask me.
Are you ready? Roy, you ready?
I'm ready. Jeez.
Whoops. Good morning. I've got to get to the right page. I'm sorry. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone here to the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners meeting on this Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. And at this time, I will like to mention there's a quorum present. And please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, Commissioners, if I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda unless there is an amendment somebody wishes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes from February 2nd, 2021 from our regular meeting. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner,
I would so move.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lloyd to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is our approval of the special meeting, which is identification of public businesses between county, cities, and towns, which is now the intergovernmental joint leadership meeting for Sweetwater County. Commissioners, what's your approval for the February 3rd, 2021 special meeting minutes?
I will move to approve it, but we need to add my name to both those meetings as attendee and signature page.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve with also amended by adding Commissioner Toman to the meetings as an attendee. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion to approve with the amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion, Commissioners? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Approve, same sign. I'm sorry. Oh,
Opposed.
opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Off in another world, but thank you for helping me out. Acceptance of the bills. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Smith,
I move that we approve the county vouchers and warrants, the EAL, the monthly reports, the bonds, the abates and rebates as presented.
we have a motion by Commissioner Smith to approve the bills. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Tolman. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Next up, we have public hearing for liquor license, and to present that with us is our Sweetwater County Clerk, Miss Lane, Clerk Lane.
What the?
We will
Embarrassing.
Take. Just for the commissioners' information, we'll do on this hearing, we'll do a public hearing to cover all of the
This
permits
is
after
for
they're
the
presented.
special,
And then we'll entertain a
pre-decisional
motion for each one by category.
Yeah, for the pre-decisional meet,
Oh,
for both
and
those pre-decisional.
We'll name them. Okay?
Sounds good.
That's all right. Just in case.
What's up, Vaughn? How's that going?
struggle some days.
Aw. Sorry to hear that.
I'm getting ready to, I'm transitioning over to some pot, and so I think that'll be helpful.
Well, you're good once you get there. Good to
Once,
know.
it's interesting because when you set up your calls on your computer and then you can I'm like, why did I name it that? Nobody in God's green earth would know what I meant by Brett's file. What is in Brett's file?
Got him? Got him right here.
Not today? It is on March 2nd meeting. That's a request.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize. That's okay. I wasn't prepared because this is supposed to be presented March 2nd.
Well, we can,
Should we be doing it today then?
I don't know that it really matters. We can do a March 2nd. I mean, we can do them today.
we got the agenda approved if you're ready. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm ready. After I just ran, I
Well, Ben,
apologize.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just looked at the agenda, so go ahead.
Okay, I just don't have like all the little verbiage and stuff with me since it's not all the way ready. However, we do have renew of liquor licenses for the year 2021-22 for Buckboard Marina, Fast Stop, Hub LLC, Joe Etta LLC, The Travel Camp, KR Distributing, Kelly's Hitching Post, Laleen A. Miller, Mitch's, Little America Hotels and Resorts, Diane Burton, Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, Rhonda Bartlebow, LT Enterprises, White Mountain Mining, Varley Mercantile LLC, Wes's LLC, which is Eden Saloon, Purple Sage Ventures LLC, The Log Inn, Rolling Green Country Club, Inc., Crossroads Travel Plaza.
Can I have a moment?
Point of order?
Have a moment.
Yes.
I apologize. Actually, it was advertised for March 2nd, so we should probably not do this today.
All right, very good. Public hearing was advertised for March 2nd.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
that's okay.
From
So
the
we
attorneys.
apologize for adding that to
We'll-
the agenda. It was an error, and that is, don't worry about it. We're good. We'll do this March 2nd. Is that okay?
That's fun, wonderful. So,
Okay, thank you.
Look, it was fun then.
It
so
was-
it'll be even more fun.
Thank you for the
It's fun for
preview.
me to run around, not prepared. All right, thank you.
Do it again.
Point of order for our county attorney's office. Mr. De Leon, do we need to do anything in particular? Do we table this or do we just?
I think it would be appropriate to table it. This would be at the next meeting, so table versus postpone would be an appropriate motion.
Thank you, appreciate that. At this time, commissioners, regarding this agenda item, which is the public hearing for liquor license, which should have been scheduled for March 2nd meeting, I would entertain a motion that we table this till March 2nd.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Shanefield, a second by
Second.
Commissioner Tolman. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mr. De Leon, for helping us with that. All right, let's continue to move on to, I believe, which is next on our agenda is county residents' concerns. So we're a little 5 minutes early on that, but we'll go ahead and we'll open up the floor for county resident concerns. We have nobody in the chamber, but they do have an opportunity to email. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
we did have one public comment from Chris Blake in regards to the liquor licenses being advertised on March 2nd. I did send Mr. Blake an email and explain that we have tabled that till the March 2nd meeting.
Very good. Thank you. I don't know.
I look like a shrimp.
Okay.
Awesome.
Any public comment?
There is not
Thank
via
you.
email.
Not any?
Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Tillman?
I did get a call from a constituent regarding the Loves thing. Should I do that in my report, or do you want to talk about it now?
You can, that's up to you, however you want to handle it, but, you know, if you want to bring it up under public comment, feel comfortable, or your report, so,
Well, I'll do it now since
Very
we don't
good.
have anything going on.
thank you.
I had a concern over the Love's truck stop when they come off of the interstate and they hit the Jamestown County Road. They're not stopping, even though there's a stop sign there. And we have a lot of, several students who drive that road. And they felt like it was a danger that we either need to put a light there or something to make them stop. They're just pulling out on Jamestown Road and then they come around into Love's without stopping it either way.
Is it off the Jamestown Road, or is it off the interstate
When they-
off-ramp?
It's off the interstate off-ramp. When they hit the Jamestown Road, they have to turn left to get into Love's, then they have to turn left again to get into Love's. So there are two places they should be stopping and letting any Jamestown Road traffic go by, and they're not. They're just using it as a complete loop.
Okay, we'll, I think probably proper thing to do is notify law enforcement, you know, and if you have any more people that bring that to our attention, we will notify law enforcement, the sheriff primarily. And
Well, I wondered if we could put some kind of a flasher on that,
would-
flasher by that stop
that would
sign,
be
just-
something we could have our
road people?
Yeah,
Okay,
Mr. Legursky. So why don't, since that complaint was brought to
okay.
you, Commissioner Tolman, would you visit with
Mhm.
Mr. Legursky, our Public Works Director, and then also we'll reference all other calls to law enforcement, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome, and tell whoever it was that visited with you, tell them thank you for looking out for the safety of those people out there. Thank you. Any other public comment? This
No, Mr.
time I'll
Chairman.
close public comment period, and we'll move on with a commissioner's reports. And first one up is Commissioner Smith. Good morning.
Hello, welcome.
You too.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Ambulance Committee, we met as a committee that's been formed. We met last week, had an excellent get together as far as trying to help educate some of the newer members who are not up to speed on what we've been doing and where things are right now. We came up with some excellent ideas, and the representatives from both Green River and Rock Springs City Councils are presenting to their fellow council members tonight a proposal for funding to help the county fund this, the ambulance project. So we also talked about another possibility that is out there as far as who should take over and how things should work after that. And so it was something that we're looking into as well. It looks promising. So just to let my fellow commissioners know that there's work being done there. And I think we'll have some kind of word this evening from both cities about their feelings of where things are. I think that the overall feeling is that a special district down the road, which can't happen until fall of 22. So I mean, 23 really being the first funding source. I think that's the ultimate goal, at least as far as this committee is concerned. Obviously, that would take input from a lot of other people as well to make something like that happen. But that seems to be where we are heading at this moment. So stay tuned tonight at the different council meetings and see how things go there. Also, Board of Health and who's my other one? Oh, Southwest Counseling. Haven't had board meetings recently, so they're coming up here shortly. And had the hospital board meeting last week, which was last week before, day after our last meeting. So I guess 2 weeks ago. Doing a great job there. They continue to do wonderful work and just so many things going on with renovations and spending their CARES Act money. Just doing a wonderful job. And also wanted to ask my fellow board members, I wanted to thank the leadership of our 2 school districts here for the wonderful job they're doing of keeping schools open and for allowing our children to attend in person and not getting too caught up in the hype and the politics of everything, but looking out for what seems to be best for our kids, which is having them in class in person every day and giving an option to do it at home as well. And so you see everything that's going on in the country and other places, even as close as the Salt Lake County School District, where high schoolers haven't been in school for a year now. They haven't been in person since March of last year. And I'm just so happy that having a high schooler myself, that my son's able to attend. He's very happy to attend, and it means all the difference to him. So I'd like to draft a letter, if that's okay with my fellow commissioners, to that effect, just to express our gratitude, if that is the feeling of fellow commissioners. I will draft one myself and sign it. If you'd like me to include you, then I'd be happy to do that as well. If there's any opposition to that at all.
Commissioner Lloyd, you okay with that?
No, I do think those are great comments, and I do agree with you, Jeff. So
Commissioner Tolman?
Thanks. That's good.
Commissioner Shanefield?
Thank you.
I'm just thankful that my children are in school as well.
Mhm.
No, I agree. They've
May
done
I-
a wonderful
may I-
job.
May I comment on your comment rather than wait till the end?
Sure.
Being an educator for 45 years and realizing how schools were operated and how they're being done today, totally different, and what school districts have asked of our teachers, not only in this district, but the other districts throughout the state of Wyoming. I think we've stayed on the very cutting edge of keeping kids in school. Also to give teachers the tools to not only be able to continue face-to-face teaching with students, but also to be able to involve those that are choosing to stay at home. It's a hard task. It's really 2 sets of planning for 1 subject for every teacher. I can't tell you, just imagining as an educator, what that work would entail, but I can tell you, and I want everybody out there to know that it's extraordinary. It's just wonderful. And yes, you're exactly right. It's time for us to start looking for the things that have been a success and have shown a lead in this county, and education is one of those. And the 2 leaders, especially the superintendents with their work, and even with school district number 2, new leader coming in this year, facing all that. Yeah, what a challenge, but they've stepped up to the plate, and they've got some more challenges ahead of them, but we'll see. I'm confident they'll be able to step to the plate for that. But Commissioner Smith, you're exactly right. I appreciate you bringing that forward and appreciate you willing to take the lead. And this commission will support that letter and would like to see it go out.
I wholeheartedly support them, the leadership
Yes.
of the school district.
Oh,
So,
yes.
so kudos to them, and just, can't say how much it means. So very excited, and I'll get that letter drafted and provided for your signatures and review.
Thank you.
Aside from that, that's my report. So any other questions or comments, I would be happy to do my best to address.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Any questions for Commissioner Smith? Comments? 1 question for you, Commissioner Smith.
What's that?
Just, it's very simple. Are you satisfied in the direction that you see going with the Joint Intergovernmental Committee for Ambulance?
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
It was Tim and myself, Tim Robinson from Rock Springs for a few weeks by ourselves, but we got some Green River help now, and it's good. No, it's good. We're aside from me, there are some great minds working on it, so it'll be good.
Well, I tell them from us, we appreciate their work.
Will do.
Thank you very much. Okay, anything else for Commissioner Smith? Moving on, Commissioner Shanefield.
Thank you. So Commissioner Lloyd and I met with Gary from HR and we reviewed some HR issues and talked about, some goals moving forward. And then we also reviewed some ideas on some duplicated services that we saw and some areas that maybe we could work together to cut back on some budget issues. Some of that's just looking at, how we can combine services and how we can work together instead of being in our own little silos. So I have a meeting at the events complex with Larry and Candy tomorrow afternoon. And then they actually have their board meeting next week as well. Our meeting for the museum is also this week on Thursday. So I will have an update at our next meeting for them. SEDC, so Eric and Kayla met with the Thomas P. Miller and Associates folks last week to learn about phase 4 of the lead generation process. And then we're going to be meeting over the next couple of weeks with their team on that process and how we're going to roll it out. SEDC, we have our next meeting on Thursday as well, and we will be getting an updating on those latest projects during that meeting. The February Sweetwater Virtual Business Lounge, we had 13 participants and I was one of them. It was a really good training over a lunch period. And I suggest if anybody's interested to join, it's easy, it's free, and it's good education. The next one's going to be on March 9th, and it's going to be part 2 of the work-life balance, which was the last one. Kayla's also been working on a new project starting in March called the Entrepreneurial Committees. She's working with Christina on applying for Business Council Rural Development Grant funding, and we're going to be hearing later from them in this meeting on that. So that's exciting. And then there's the next radio show with Johnny K is coming up next week on the 25th. I have a NACO broadband task force meeting coming up next week on Monday, and we have just got our subcommittees and are going to be working through some specific issues. And then I also have a Sweetwater County Mining and Manufacturing Executive Leadership Team meeting next week as well. So got lots of meetings in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. Questions, comments, commissioners? Well, I have one comment. I have previously heard the radio show with Johnny K and Eric and Kayla, very exceptional. The representation of SEDC and the county and 2 cities has been exceptional on that program, and they've done a great job. Well worth the time listening.
I agree 100%. And Kayla's done a good job of bringing in the cities with them. I've done it a couple of times with her and just bringing different people in to get good education and information out to the public. So
Tell her to keep up the good work, and Eric as well. Thank
I
you.
will. I'm sure she's on right now listening. So
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. Any other comments? Up next, Commissioner Lloyd. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, a few things. First I want to give kudos to the committee, not Commissioner Smith, but kudos to the committee, I guess, and Commissioner Smith. It was great to hear the progress on ambulance. And with that being said, I want people to know this was always our intention when we made our decision, was not to move away from ambulance, but find new alternatives. And I think this only illustrates how our partnerships and the intergovernmental meetings, I like to call them extravaganzas or whatever, but how they could really come to fruition and benefit the citizens, the counties, and the cities. And I think this is just a starting off point. So big thanks to that group, and of course also Commissioner Smith. And couple things want to kick off by just start saying sometimes like I like to hit some public things, and want people to realize that Rock Springs and Green River are entering their Make-A-Wish week this week. People don't realize it, but Green River, Rock Springs together raise almost $50,000 to $70,000 a year for Make-A-Wish. The average school in Wyoming makes about $10,000. We're able to grant 5 to 6 wishes based upon what these 2 school districts do. And this year they haven't made it so much a competition, but as a partnership to see how much and they can beat their records. Due to COVID, they can have a lot different events. I know my daughter is very disappointed there's no dodgeball. I guess that it can't get approved due to COVID standards, but they're doing new things. And also, instead of a 2-week fundraising period, these kids are doing it in a week. So just look for those events and support both school districts. Just because of the event they're doing, and then also the blood drives that are going on right now. So with that, as far as boards go, library, we will meet tonight. Conservation District, I wasn't able to make the meeting last week, 2 weeks ago, because I had a previous commitment, but look forward to catching up with them, getting caught up to speed, and making the rest of the board meetings as they occur, which will be next month, will be the next one. I did meet with the tripartite board last Monday. Thank you to Christina for giving me board orientation to the tripartite board. And that's quite a group, and it does some great work. And I'm really excited to be part of that with my background. So I think it's going to be a great board to sit on. And it's just really great to see the work they're doing. Starbus, unfortunately, meets at about the same time as tripartite board once every 3 months. And so I did talk to Christina about that, and she said Doc used to have that issue too. So I actually went and met that day with Mary Seppi, the director of STAR, just to kind of get an update. And she knew I wouldn't be able to be at that meeting. And I've met with her previously, not that day, in the previous week. And there are no concerns. They're going back to operations as they have been with using by appointments and not doing the fixed route system as they have been doing through the majority of COVID. But since their closure and the reopening due to COVID, they have been operating well, and there have been no concerns. So they've done a great job in communicating with public health to make sure we're maintaining the safety of the individuals involved. Joint Communications hasn't had a meeting yet, but I will be doing that this month. Budget review, just some of the things we're doing, just kind of getting ready to set up all our budget review assignments so we can start moving forward with that. As far as the intergovernmental agency, I'm on the lead for animal control, and I've spent the last week emailing all these folks to set a meeting date. And I think we will have a meeting next week to start discussing animal control is when it looks like we're going to move forward with that. So I want to thank everyone from the different counties and entities to get that going. Strategic planning, we're going to meet after today at a break. I will be sending out an agenda. It will be a kind of a quicker meeting today, just kind of getting updated from the committees, but talking to the committee chairs, I do feel we are making progress and ready to move forward in different directions. One of the things we'll be doing is continuing in our committees, but creating a new one. And Lauren had mentioned this, and Doc had originally put Lauren and I in charge. Asked us to take lead for the duplication with the intergovernmental meeting, but they went a different, Maricoma went a different direction, and he had asked Lauren and I to continue to work with that with Gary, and we'll be kind of formalizing that and moving forward with that. And I think that's some great possibilities there. Events complex, I'm not their liaison, but Gary and we'll be putting in for the next meeting to have an agenda item that we talked about last time with Gary, Jean, and the events complex, presenting about partnerships and maybe the events complex. Using some of the county parks to advertise events and build some revenue streams that way. And I think that's an important quick note as we go into budget here in the next, really, we've already started. Maybe it's not just about some of the cuts and changes we have to make, maybe getting visionary and how we can create some new income streams, and situations like that could also be a benefit as we go into these discussions. Lastly, as far as liaison work, met with Gene, talked maintenance facilities, lots of plowing. He said the wind has been highly difficult, and because of that, lots of plowing and replowing, as you could imagine. He's kept Jeff and I up to date on a grinder project, which we've been appreciative, and we become really understanding when Gene sends pictures of the grinder project and why it's important. So,
Oh, yeah. There's some good looking pictures from what comes out of the jail into the sewer. It's awesome.
yes, Gene was actually going to do the weekly report and just had not gotten a chance, forgot to get to it. But one of the questions I had for the commission is, Gene and I talked about this morning, he's the only department head that provides that report. What originally originated that report's when Chuck was over maintenance facilities, he was supposed to give a report, especially over the during the jail construction. So instead of, he didn't really want to come to commission meetings, so we sent that report as a in lieu of, and then Wally had Gene continue when Chuck left. So my question is, Gene's completely okay with doing that report. Is that something we want of him? And if so, I thought it was weird that he was the only one we asked to do that. So I guess just wanted your guys' opinions if that's something we want Gene to continue to do. And is it something we want to look at some of the other departments doing, or just the liaison work enough to pass that information?
Thank you. Go ahead, Lauren.
Mr. Chairman. So I actually think that SEDC is also doing that report. They're just emailing it to me. And
Okay.
then I'm giving it to the commission because I think it's really important for the commission to know, especially with as new as SEDC is and how important it is for our community. But I am not opposed to any way that the department heads want to give us a report. If, you know, Christina did the same with grants when I was her liaison. And so I think that it's important that we know what's going on and can talk about what's going on in the county. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners? Okay with it?
I'm,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm not for more reports and paperwork, but I think that however it is that they keep the liaisons up to date is whatever that's agreed to, I think is probably the best way. And so for us and Gene, I'm a pitcher guy, so I think we're probably going to ask him to keep doing that. And
Okay, it's up to you.
he can get rid of me as his liaison someday, and then he won't
Mhm.
have to do it anymore. But
Yeah.
until then, I want to see those sewer pictures. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's entirely up to you as liaisons or contact persons to however you want to work with that individual or those individuals and go from there.
Okay. And then just a couple other quick things. Also met with, like Lauren said, I won't repeat about a lot of that with HR, with Gary. One thing that I'm excited about that came out of that report was the fact we are moving to a electronic personnel file that will have more people have access, and it will make a more interactive and have I think it will help keep it up to date and actually kind of reduce some of the use of shadow files in departments. So I think there's a positive to that. And then also met with Christina for grants, and we kind of talked about some of the things we'll get presented today. She gave me orientation for tripartite board, and we just talked about some of the other grants that could be out there and the current status of grants. Also, just conversations with various department directors and department directors, elected officials, and constituents. And then I just want to wrap up with kind of maybe something, just a thank you, and more of a just a in memory or kind of an in memory thing. And I just want to just celebrate the life of Gary Collins up here and thank for some of the work he's done in this community. And one of the greatest things in this community is the people. And there are so many great people, and it doesn't matter on what side of the podium they sit on or what their beliefs are. Some people in this world just do good things. And I think Gary Collins was one of those folks that, yeah, at times could be outspoken on his side, but he never backed down, but did a lot of good for this community. So I just want to thank Gary and for his work in this community, and put out condolences and thoughts to Gary's family and Bonnie and the family, because when you talk about people that made impact in this community, he's definitely one of those. So I want to just share those words. So that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. And I too just want to echo your thoughts and words for Gary Collins and his family. Bonnie, condolences. Thank you. Questions or comments for Commissioner Lloyd? Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Commissioner Toman.
Well, it's been another busy 2 weeks. As liaison for the public lands, Commissioner Wendling and I attended the federal agency breakfast that we have once a month. We received an update from Kimberly Foster over the phone regarding the Bureau of Land Management, the executive orders and how it might affect the BLM resource management plan for Rock Springs. I learned something interesting. Why that had been put on hold was because of the land disposals had not been approved in Washington, D.C., so that did not get signed. So we don't know if it's going to roll back to the 2015 version of that plan without the energy components, or if it will be signed as is. So that's kind of worrisome. The ranger with the Ashley National Forest was there, and he did say the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area will be, it's part of that plan, but it will be treated separately, and the issues identified by Mark Cott will be addressed as far as no drilling along the shore and things like that. We also met with Eric and Jean on the Pacific Atlantic Tronomine EIS. Their monthly meeting was canceled because they didn't have agenda items, but I contacted Cody Doig of the Coalition of Local Governments. He will write the administrative record comments for us, but he asked us to be the eyes and ears on the ground. And so we met last Thursday and looked at the issues. It's pre-decisional, so I'm not going to go into the specifics, but if any of you want to know, or if you want to go into executive session, we are just to identify issues that we can share with the contractors in the BLM. So at the next cooperator meeting at the first of the month, they can address them. So I thought that was a productive meeting. I did some community outreach. I went to the Eden Valley Senior Luncheon last week, and that's when I learned about, I talked to Commissioner Smith about a study that had been done 5 years ago regarding the ambulances, and just had an opportunity to visit with 30-some people were there. So that was interesting. WCCA training, the next one, I attended the last one. The next one will be next Tuesday, the 23rd, and that will be a review of the federal cooperator role. And it's at 8:30 for at least an hour. If any of you could tune into that just for a refresher. They talk about the cooperator role and the federal plans, and they're going to be vital to our economy here. So we need to stay connected to all of that. As liaison to the airport, I visited with Devin about the legislation for the districts. I attended their Zoom meeting and their 1-hour budget presentation. He informed me they have cut their budget by 30%. So I guess my assignment there is easy, huh? I still have to meet with him.
Just a big thank you.
Shouldn't have given that one
Yes,
out, darn
thank
it.
you, Devin. I still have to meet with him to learn more about the operations at the airport, although I owned a plane and am a pilot and had kept my plane there for many years. So I'm sort of familiar with the general aviation side, but it looks like they're progressing on the terminal side. So that's going to be exciting. Plus our new fire complex, or whatever you call the fire section. Also, I did the Zoom meeting on the rollout of the economic impacts of aviation in Wyoming. That was very interesting, and how our 34 airports affect our economy in Wyoming. And that's available. That is available on the YDOT website. If any of you want that, there's a executive summary. Also, the complete study is on the YDOT aviation website. Met with Bonnie Berry regarding the budget. Just trying to learn the systems and what everyone does in this county. Our next Coalition of Local Governments meeting is this Thursday at 10 a.m. in Kemmer at the courthouse. At the last meeting, I was elected back to the executive committee as secretary treasurer. I also attended a Zoom meeting of the Wyoming Landscape Conservation Initiative, the local project development teams, and the rollout of how they're accepting proposals at their March meeting. Contacted Sweetwater County Conservation District as a budget liaison. I'm hoping we get into that a little bit more today as exactly what our message should be to all of those entities. Contacted the sheriff, he's working on their budget. I visited with Rob Slaughter about the upcoming legislation as it related to the ad valorem taxes. And I guess my concluding remarks would be that I hope we can stay more connected with what is happening in the legislature, because there have been some bills and they change daily. So maybe if we could get a weekly meeting or something going where we have more contact, and that we would submit comments to our local legislators. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Toman. I did get a Zoom meeting on the CLG meeting for Thursday, and
Yeah.
you did too. And
Mhm.
I'll forward it to the other commissioners in case they want to listen in on it and that type of thing. With that, good report. Any comments or questions for Commissioner Toman? No, good report. Thank you, Commissioner. Up next, myself, the couple things with the intergovernmental joint leadership meeting. I have met with the individuals for waste, solid waste and recycling. We've had our first meeting, and the participants on that committee will visit with the city councils to find out more exactly what the individual issues may be, so we can delve into those a little bit further. I did meet with the ambulance committee. This is a different one than the joint one. This is the regular ambulance board that has oversight of our present contract that we have, and visited with them, and they continue to have oversight on that contract with Sweetwater Medics. It's not with Castle Rock, it's just Sweetwater Medics and that. So as we move forward, I'll continue to move in those meetings, and a lot of questions and some anticipation regarding the intergovernmental ambulance committee, and of course, the one person common appointee on both boards is Tim Robinson. So that's a report we also heard from Commissioner Smith, so that's all well in line. Also, oh, yes. Also, just in front of you, I laid before you is the Wyoming County Commissioners Association issues and bills of potential interest. The bill reading committee, which is the chair and co-chair of each committee, and the executive committee, had a phone call the other day to review bills that are going to continue into this next session. And with the printed document I shared with you, the bills that will be moving forward, as well as will be read tomorrow for us to vote on as a commission as a whole with WCCA, are highlighted in blue. It's highlighted in blue. And if you have any questions, we could go through that. But the key to it is tomorrow for the WCCA membership is to move on whether they support or oppose the bills that'll be moving forward that are highlighted in blue, as to what level. And of course, that will be Zoomed, as well as you'll need your phone to vote as commissioners. Now, I asked Sally to reserve the Castle Rock room for tomorrow at 8:30. I will be there, as well as if any commissioner wishes to be there, because if there's a vote that comes down to one vote, one county, we all have to be should be nearly on the same page. So we have to be able to communicate to one another. So just to share that with you, you have a copy of those bills. That membership meetings tomorrow morning at 8:30 to take care of that business as we did before. One other thing to keep in mind is there are a whole lot of bills out there outside of what we're seeing in front of us. So the executive director, as well as the executive committee, could at any point in time call another bill reading from bill reading, and then get with the membership to vote. They anticipate there could be another one. So more to come. Commissioner Toman had mentioned the training next week. Yes, there's some topics on there that are great, not only to review, but topics also to keep us better informed, because we're right in the middle of the public lands. We're right in the middle of cooperator status and that. So that training is important. So all of us, as we move forward, can serve in those roles, because there's more to come. Also, the next intergovernmental meeting is scheduled for, again, Wednesday, I believe, March 3rd, as we move forward. Outside of that, commissioners, one other thing on the liaisons for budgets. I have contacted all of my assignments with the exception of public lands and zoning, and that's Eric. We'll visit with him here when I get some time, just to let Commissioner Toma know. But my conversation with individuals that I've called has been along this line. And to share with you, I'm willing to call anybody and add more to my conversation. I'm willing to call somebody, and if you pick up on something I'm saying that you go, wait a minute, I'm willing to call them and correct that. And I'm also willing to call any one of your assignments if you don't feel you have time to visit with them. But the conversation has gone like this when I've notified one of them, is told them, of course, who I am, and let them know that trying to be a little proactive compared to what we've been in the past, rather than them knowing what we want at the last minute, try to give them some idea of what's occurring. Let it off from the standpoint that we as a commission at this meeting would be meeting with Ms. Berry to set the schedule for budgeting, and wanted to let them know that the revenue in the county has been reduced, appears based on third quarter numbers to be anywhere from 25% to 30% lower, as well as reminded them last year when we were 20% lower in revenue that we did not do much cutting with regard to other than what they requested more than the baseline. But we did not do any cuts to go into people's budgets. We made that up through carryover and out of reserves. So my conversation went on is let them know we're being proactive, but give them information to start working on their budget. But they're to keep in mind that we're 25 to 30% lower in revenue, and everybody's going to share the pain, as well as once they submit theirs, that there could be an opportunity to call somebody in and ask them to cut even deeper. Talked about the obligated statutorily requirements that we have as a board with core government and some of our component units, but reminded them that outside agencies are not a statutory required funding for the county. So just give them a heads up. So that was basically my conversation. Asked them to please call me if they had any questions, willing to sit with them. Also, if I heard anything more, I would get back to them. I did not want them to walk into a meeting with a budget request and the first thing they hear at that meeting is they're expected to cut. They need to know it coming in, that their budgets need to be reduced. I did have a conversation with one or two outside agencies and reminded them, well, I asked all of them if they had any CARES support and where that was at, CARES funding, as well as I also knew through my conversations with Ms. Berry of who had exorbitant carryovers, and just reminded them that what they were, and asked them to consider even deeper cuts because they could survive. So that was basically my conversation in a nutshell, commissioners. Anything I missed? Anything you want me to go back and add to people I visited with? Did I say anything out of line? Yes, I did. I told everybody they had to be a part of the pain. Told everybody that. So what can I help you with as fellow commissioners?
Well, I'm remiss, I forgot to say something in my report. May I say it?
Yes, you
Mr.
may.
Chairman?
Yes.
Marty Dernovich has gone to a lot of work to set up our joint meeting with purchasing and inventory tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank her for helping us do that.
Marty's a huge player in that, Commissioner Tolman, and she wants to see that work as much as anybody does, and she'll do whatever is asked of her. She's a player. Thank you, Commissioner Tolman. Anything else, commissioners? Any questions for me? Commissioner Lloyd? I see that eye.
Yeah, I think, Doc, and how you started the conversations with organizations regarding our budget is probably the best way to go. We need to be straight and honest with folks and get as much information as we can specific to carryovers, what they have in the bank, if they had any extra CARES Act money, how that affected them, and those things, just because I do think it's, we're at an interesting time. I was at the senior center the other day and a lady I've known for a long time through church said, Roy, why are you cutting everything? And I looked at her and I said, well, we're really $15 million short. And she goes, well, I don't know why you'd have to cut everything with that. And then one of our other friends said, that's a lot of money. And it is a lot. And we, the taxpayers trust us to make the best decisions. So I think how you've handled that, Doc, has been a good role model and example to start to be able to get that information we need to be successful.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. And I'm willing to, if you any one of you choose to want me to take the lead with one of your contacts, I want you to know I'm willing to. I've been, but the other thing too is, the other thing to remind each of you is, as those budgets are submitted, you have any one of us can call let each other know that we want to call somebody in, because we truly believe, we need to maybe get more in the detail. The other thing too is, I didn't have anybody that fit this, but just want to remind you, and Commissioner Smith, your words stick with me very well, is in some of those component units, keep in mind that they're not only, there's just a certain amount of their budgets that we fund. So we only have that fiscal responsibility to talk about our funding only. So keep that in mind as we move forward, and that type of thing. Okay, any questions for me? Can I help anybody? All right, thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck as you move forward. Budget conversations are not comfortable, but I truly have always believed it's like the education business when you're dealing with parents and you're dealing with their most valuable resource, i.e. their children, upfront, honest, and also keep being sincere, and I think that's how you can have the best success. All right, thank you. That concludes my report. If there's any questions. Okay, as we move forward, our first action item is scheduled for 9:45. We're a little bit ahead. Commissioners, would you like a break? All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back at 9:40 and get ready for our 9:45 agenda items. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, John.
They had a 6 penny tax to pay for one of their buildings.
Oh, yeah.
For County Commissioners meeting for February 16th to order. And we'll continue on with our agenda. Our first action item is under tab D is acceptance of the modification to our annual road maintenance plan with the Ashland National Forest. To present that today is Mr. Legursky, our Public Works Director. Mr. Legursky, I see you're on Zoom. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Floor is yours.
What you have before you, this is our annual road maintenance plan. We met 3 weeks ago down in Manila, went over our road maintenance plan with Ashland National Forest, and this just codifies it in what we're going to do this year. It's, basically it's a 5-year contract with them that we've renewed every year or every 5 years. And this is just what we're going to do different, what they want to do different on some roads and plans that they have for us that are a little bit different. So nothing earth shattering in this at all.
Thank you, Mr. Legursky. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Legursky regarding this agreement?
Yes, I have a question.
Commissioner Toman.
Did the Ashley talk to you about that Great Outdoor Act? Is there any possibility of getting road help through that Great American Outdoor Act?
We never talked about it, Commissioner Tolman.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it covers, but I thought maybe it might help with some of that.
No, we didn't talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Legursky. Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions, commissioners? No questions. Commissioners, what's your pleasure with regard to accepting the modifications to our annual road maintenance plan with Ashland National Forest?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept that.
We have a motion to accept the annual road maintenance plan with the Ashland National Forest and authorize chair to sign too.
And allow the chairman to sign,
I
absolutely.
thought that's what I heard. Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion, commissioners? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, commissioners. Up next, again, under tab E is area index contract for propane delivery. And with us again is Mr. Legursky from our Public Works Director. Gene, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, with this there's 2 different contracts. We were contacted by AmeriGas to go into this. And basically what it is right now when we buy propane for the road and bridge shop in Farson or the 4 different parks that we have propane at, we buy on the spot market price. So whatever the day we order it, the day they deliver it is what we pay. So we really either have to watch it or we just are at, the whims of Mother Nature. As you can see, I don't know if you guys have been watching with the Henry Hub and everybody's been doing in the last couple of days with the cold weather, but natural gas is shot through the roof. What this does is allows us to order it, and they do an indexing average. So on our last couple bills, it would have really brought down our price. So we get a rolling average of what the indexing is around. We say we still pay the same for delivery as we do on the spot. It's just more of not having to be on our A game as much and trying to time the market as much as it is. So it takes a little bit of pressure off of our guys that are ordering propane.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Legursky. Commissioners, any questions with Mr. Legursky regarding these contracts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Smith, floor is yours.
Gene, what's the downside of this? Is there a point at which this becomes more expensive than doing it spot buys?
I mean, if you can time the market and you can buy it on that 1-day dip and, get it in the day before it dips, sure, you might pay a little bit more, but the 30-day average evens it out. So I don't see it because I don't know about you, but I'm not a market timer. So I don't look at futures enough to really do that. So I don't think there is a downside.
Good. So it's the index plus $1.50.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that, Gene. Commissioners, other questions? Okay, we have before us 2 contracts. One is for Farson, the Farson Highway Department or County Department, as well as one is for Rock Springs County Department. So we'll take each one separately. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the area index contract for propane delivery for the billing address of 39B Highway 28, Farson, Wyoming. Commissioners,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
yes, Commissioner Toman has moved to approve and authorize chairman to sign,
Yes,
Commissioner.
yes.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion, commissioners? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Our next agreement will be agreement. Hang on, let me get to the right page. Gene, I'm getting there. Here we go. Our next agreement will be for pricing of propane from Sweetwater County for the Rock Springs shop. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, the billing address of the Rock Springs shop, but this is for the county parks, which include Pioneer Trails, Jamestown, Big Sandy up in Farson and Crossroads.
All right, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that, Mr. Legursky. Commissioners, what's your pleasure regarding this contract and authorizing chairman to sign?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve and authorize chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve and authorize chairman to sign this contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And strategic planning for capital asset workshop is our next agenda item, and up is Mr. Legursky. Mr. Legursky, the floor is yours.
So, Mr. Chairman, the department heads, and I didn't put everybody on here that's contributed there. It's been all the department heads. We got together back in November and started looking at ways that we can help out with the strategic planning and doing some things that we thought were instrumental in maybe getting a longer term plan. And so you guys could better understand the budget, not just budget year by year, but with capital assets, especially with buildings, computers, stuff like that. We need to be on more of a cycle. We also need to plan ahead of time because some of these are very long lead time items. So what we did is we came up with a spreadsheet that you see before you. We worked on it, got everybody's input, and then what we did is met with the elected officials 2 weeks ago on a Friday, and they all liked the idea of it. The only request that they had is, why were they kind of being involved? Because they don't usually typically have a lot of capital. But we thought it was good to get buy-in from everybody. I met with Miss Berry last week about it. And what we'd like to do with this is get a committee together, and the department heads and elected officials met. We would like to make that committee between Marty, Tim Knight, Sheriff Grossnickel, and myself, and also have one of the commissioners on there if you guys would so like. So we could vet all these projects and put them in order. And then what we're hoping to do is get you guys a summary sheet of all the capital projects where it's 20 or 55, right? I don't know how many there's going to be, and rank them in order. That way, if we only have $200,000 one year, we can do projects 1, 2, and 3. If we have $20 million, we can do 1 through 12. And then everybody knows we're on the same page. I think this also helps with strategic planning for 6 cent projects and other things. That way, it's not a guess. We've actually vetted some stuff. We've looked through everything. We've given it back to the department heads and elected officials, let them rank their priorities. As you can see in the first line where it says project number, it has the year of department and then a unique project number, and then also their priority 1 through 5, where they think this should lie. So it puts it back in the hands of the people that need to make the decisions, but then we need to get everybody out of their silo, as you guys have talked about, and look at everything as a whole and prioritize things just it better, I guess is the best way to put it. So I just want to present this to you guys, see if one of you guys would be willing to sit on this committee, or if you think we can handle it ourselves. It's totally up to you guys, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them on what we're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Legursky. We'll have a conversation, and the chairman will have an appointment for you here Questions for Mr. Legursky?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Not so much a question, but just a statement. Gene and I had actually discussed this a couple of times, and I think this is a crucial component. And as we move forward in strategic planning, and in a couple of our goals in strategic planning was to have like a master list of priorities for capital project, but also a master list of like philosophical things, tasks that needed to be completed and policies needed to be reviewed. So this is really a step in that direction we're aiming. And I think if anything, what we've seen in the strategic planning is something that Gene said, getting people out of silos, and it's created people to come together and have conversations and really look at the future and work together. So I'm a huge supporter of what these guys have created. Excited. And one of the things I really like is when they priority list, it's very well, it's clear. What's your priority? Well, right now it's a 5, or right now it's a 3, but knowing down the road that project level could change. So I really like the fluidity of it and how well it's defined. I think this is an essential project for us to continue in strategic planning.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Other comments, commissioners? Mr.
Chairman.
Shanefield?
I just want to applaud the department heads and our elected officials that have been involved in this process. This is a huge step in the right direction, like Commissioner Lloyd just said. And I'm excited it'll help with our 6th penny. It'll help moving forward. It'll help with our budget planning. I think this is a big deal, and it's been a long time coming. So thank you so much for helping spearhead this, Gene.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other comments, commissioners? Mr. Legursky, I can only echo the comments that you've already heard from Commissioner Lloyd and Commissioner Shanefield. I think it's a result of a lot of conversation, a lot of time over the years, and it's moved in the right direction, very much so. And I applaud and thank the group that you've been working with to bring it to this point, and we'll hopefully they'll continue to move forward and that type of thing. So I think it's a good form. Very similar to some of the things I've seen in the education field. My big question is if we only have money to fund maybe $100,000 worth of projects, are you going to be able to list them?
We'll list them, and then it's your guys' choice to how much money we got. So that's the beauty about it. The nice thing about it is it would be nice if, we found some extra money and we were doing, project 1 and 2, we just add 3 because we already know the priority. It's not a big guess. And, and everybody argued my priority's 3. My project's 3. We already know what 3 is if we, found a grant or extra money or whatever.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Other comments, commissioners? Who are our liaisons for facilities, road and bridge?
That was Jeff and I.
Jeff and you. All right, then I would encourage that you and Jeff flip a coin or decide who would like to work on this committee for with Mr. Legursky and that, okay?
Hey, and Jeff, can I just throw it out real quick that I'd be willing to take the appointment if you're okay with that, being a part of the strategic plan. I think it would be good, since I've kind of led that, to be part of that.
Okay, I will officially appoint Commissioner Lloyd to that.
You didn't let me respond if I was okay with that or not.
Oh, you're right. My fault. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say, Gene, thinking that perhaps they could handle it by themselves, I think was his wording.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no chance.
Well, yeah, there you go. There you go.
We'll get Roy in there.
I'm glad this is such a forgiving bunch at this counter. So
We're happy to help.
yeah, we're happy. So anyhow, okay, I'll appoint Commissioner Lloyd to work with you, Mr. Legursky, and your committee, and continue to keep us informed, and look forward to seeing what that list will look like, knowing what our budget is looking for this next year as well as possibly the following year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gene.
Have a good one. Thank you very much. Appreciate the information. Moving on with tab G, we have additional storage options, Sweetwater County and the University of Wyoming Extension Program liaison. And with us today, I believe we have Miss Henry. Is she on? Marty?
I am
Oh,
here. I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm here via.
That's fine, Marty. Thank you. I noticed that we had a person in the audience. So with that, I would ask that please come to the podium and introduce yourself and who you're with, of course, who you represent. Thank you.
Chairman, I'm Bridger Fates. I'm the Associate Director for the western half of Wyoming with Extension. And I'm here today. Marty is not feeling very great. She's got the cold that she's dealing with, so she's on there. But we wanted to come talk to you a little bit about, so we've moved to a new office. Many of you are aware of that. It's a much smaller office. The Western Wyoming needed our space for a different program, and so we've moved to a new office. So that comes with some challenges. One is lack of storage space, and so we're needing to get a storage shed. They have provided a space for us to do that on campus, if we can do that. So in terms of rent, we have half the size of space, and they have reduced our rent by half. So going forward, instead of $3,500 a year rent, will be at $1,750 to the county. So I guess that's good. You guys are looking for money right now, aren't you? So that part's good. The bad part is, like I said, we need storage shed. So a couple of thoughts in terms of that storage shed. Certainly with COVID, we will have some budget savings this year in terms of, a lot less travel than normal. So I guess our question is, would you consider allowing us to use those budget savings to purchase a storage shed in addition to possibly utilizing that first year's savings in the rent as well? So we're trying to get a 10 by 16 storage shed somewhere in that $4,500 to $5,000 range is what we're after. We can do that mostly with budget savings, and then hopefully with some rent savings too. Is that something we could
Commissioner?
work on?
All right. Thank you. Go ahead. Questions, commissioners?
Well, I am your budget liaison, so you have to pass muster with me, I guess.
All right.
Well,
Uh-oh.
ultimately, initial mustard with you, then the tough mustard with the rest of us.
Yeah, no.
Exactly, but, okay, the storage shed, where would you house it? Where would you put it?
So it's on let me try and think about directions here.
I mean, is it on the campus? Will they allow you to put
It
a
is on the
storage shed
campus.
on campus?
Yep. And they have some other storage sheds there storage buildings there for Western Wyoming, and it would be in a spot there. They've cleared a spot that we can put it in. You can drive right to it, which is nice, drive in and out. And so the other storage option right now is in the basement of the college. I don't know if any of you have been in the basement. It's not all that nice spot for storage, and it's not very easy to get in and get, our program materials and stuff. So having this storage shed would be a big improvement.
So you think it would cost like $4,500 and you have that much money left in your budget from lack of travel and due to COVID things?
I'm not sure we'll have quite that. We'll probably conservatively would be able to save 4,000 in budget savings. I just don't know that we can get a shed bought at 4,000. I think they're closer to 5 really. So that's why I'm wondering if we can use some of that savings in rent as well. So,
Commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Shanefield.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess I would like to see a budget breakdown on where, you're seeing these savings roll over before we can kind of go forward with that. My other question is, have you gotten in touch with anybody here at the county to see if maybe we have anything available that you would be able to utilize? I don't know if that's even an option. I don't know if we have anything extra storage wise, but if we had something that you guys could utilize, that would be ideal.
I know that we had explored some of those options as we were getting ready to move. But specifically whether there was a shed on skids that we could move to that location, I'm not sure. We would need it on location just because in terms of programming, Marty is in and out of those supplies on a regular basis.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner Sheffield?
Well, on another.
Commissioner Tolman?
On another point, what is our agreement with the extension? Can you just review that for my purposes? What is our agreement with salary, rent, or whatever?
So we have a 5-year MOU between the county and extension. You agree as part of your commitment to pay the salary of the administrative assistant, the secretary for extension, and then the half of the salary dollars of the 4-H educator. Now, the UW pays the other half of the salary dollars and all of the benefits. So really you're in there at somewhere around 40% on the 4-H educator, and we're, 60 to 65 kind of a deal. And then provide the office space for the office. So the counties generally provide that office space. And, certainly this year is not the year to have those discussions, but it might be time to start thinking about it. The new office space probably isn't a great long-term solution for the county. I mean, ideally having a space to be able to have those workshops with kids, provide that space, and some of those things would be a long-term goal. Certainly, we realize we're going to be happy in the small space that we have now with current budgets. But as we think long-term, if you guys can keep that in the back of your mind, that long-term there might be a better solution for us in terms of office space. So.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I think we've kind of looked into this once before, but at Golden Hour, the Conservation District is moving there, and I don't want to put Gene or anybody on the spot, but is there any possibility that we could give them a room there and not have to pay this rent? I mean, it's something we'd have to look into. I'm not saying that we could or would or.
You also have to include Golden Hour in that conversation.
Right.
So that's.
And maybe Gene's already checked into that.
Yeah,
I don't know the ramifications because of the MOU, and maybe we'd have to check
Yeah.
it by John.
So.
We really need,
But if we could just save money some way.
we need 4 or 5 offices. I mean, we have the 4-H educator, you have a part-time horticulture educator. We have a Wendy Nielsen that does the
Sensible nutrition.
nutrition, there we go. And then we also are wanting to Sweetwater is one of the counties that has an opening for an area educator, specializing in either community health and vitality or ag and natural resources. And so we're wanting to fill that position as well. So we do need a fair amount of space is the issue.
But it would be like desks more than complete big, huge office space, or do you need totally separate spaces?
That's probably negotiable.
Mary, I would be more than happy to show you some plans that we have played with when you come to do our budget evaluation. Just so you can kind of get an idea of what we're needing.
Okay. We'd have to visit with Gene too, our facilities person, because I don't even know if that's an option.
I don't know. I've got Gene. I've asked Mr. Legursky to listen in, but I'm not going to ask him to comment
Right,
because
yeah.
he'll have to do some checking. I know our last meeting that Marty presented, there was some conversation that the Western Wyoming had made the willingness for a storage shed, but I guess in the back of my mind, were they committing a shed or just a place for a shed? So I asked Gene to stay on to listen and do some checking there. I guess going forward though, I guess I don't understand when we, first of all, understand that last year, no reduction in budgets from the county to most of our outside agencies.
Right.
That's a 20% that the county ate through reserves. Now this year it's between 25 and 30%. And we're reaching out and have to our outside agencies regarding budgets. asking for them, not only in the budget message of 2 meetings ago of only doing needed things
Yep.
with the county's money, as well as thinking ahead to be part of the solution in reduction of cost to the county. In the tunes of, it could be 25 to 30%, but we'd have the option to call in other agencies and ask for more. So I'm having a hard time not understanding what you need or what you're asking for. I'm having a hard time that you're coming in and realizing you could have a savings from the rent, why that could not be carried over to help with next year, to help towards that reduction we're asking for, but that you come in and you ask for more, because that's what it's going to amount to.
Well,
I mean,
so,
that's just me personally. I'm only one commissioner with
Right.
one vote and that type of thing. And I think the last time when we talked with Marty, the question is when we get into budget, we'd have an idea of being able to visit those requests. Granted, I know your request is nothing more for storage. Okay.
Right.
And I guess I revolve back to just that request as an individual commissioner and understand what you're asking for, understand where it's at. But at the same token, there's going to be outside agencies experiencing some severe cuts out there, as well as core government and component units. And I guess my question is how does 4-H intend to, what's their plan to participate? I know you can't answer now, but what's the plan to participate to be part of the solution?
right. So I guess, I mean, you're right. In short term, that 1750 is a significant part of our budget. We have, roughly $20,000 in operating expenses is really all that we operate on. There's salary dollars tied to that too, that makes that more. But in terms of what we operate on, that's a pretty big chunk of our operating budget. So you're right, that could be a big savings, and we're not necessarily, certainly weren't coming here sort of demanding,
No.
that we get a shed. We're just trying to figure out a way to make that solution work in that smaller office. And certainly that saves the county money over the long run for a few years. We're good there. And there might be enough budget savings from this budget to be able to purchase the shed. That's I guess my bigger question is if we're willing to sort of come up with solutions for our future budget, are we able to spend out this budget utilizing different line items
So-
essentially?
And I can answer that. The budget message went out 2 meetings ago. Not only to build a budget on need, but to curtail spending for the rest of this budget. That was me
Okay.
as chairman. No other commissioner stepped in at that point in time, and kind of, we've had conversations, kind of felt that was the right message.
Yeah.
But again, I'm only one vote. They can vote, they can speak for themselves and talk for themselves. My question is what is the university going to contribute towards helping with us with this program through these reductions?
Well, the university is in a similar situation
know
as
they
you
are.
guys in terms of what we're asked to cut, and we're going through those same budget processes. But one of the things that the university feels like we have done over these tight budget times as sort of a olive branch to the counties, and that is a few years ago, there was still a negotiation as to whether the county and the university would split the benefits of the 4-H employee.
Mhm.
And the university has decided to fund those benefits. So that's been in the last year or so during these tight budget times. That's really one of the things that we feel like we've stepped out and done for the counties to help help that. It can be a significant amount for, for those employees. But in terms of, other sort of savings, we're encouraging our employees to be physically sound and to develop budgets that are physically sound for the counties and try and work with them. But really that's kind of where we're at. And we don't have extra funds to
Well,
contribute right now either is our issue. So
we're not as fortunate as the federal government. We can't print money either.
yeah, neither one of us.
But
so.
again, too, the thing that puts our guard up, and it's happening at the state level, as the state moves forward and makes, what do I want to say, unfinanced mandates, we've got to be careful.
Yeah.
So that's, I understand the shed. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to make,
Yeah, no,
my God, wave a wand, make it happen if we, but at the same token, is this the right time? Is this where we should be? I don't know. I'm just one commissioner.
Yeah.
So commissioners, that's all I'll say. I won't say anything more. I've said my piece, but I do look down at my fellow commissioner, Toman, and she says, you got to cut mustard with here. And you heard me say, yeah, but you also got to cut mustard with 4 other commissioners. And that's where I'm at. I'm looking and I'm looking hard, and but I'm only one vote. Thank you. That's all I have. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah, first I'll start that truly we are a 4-H family. My family's a 4-H family, very active. As we start to look through budgets and kind of look at strategic planning, my concern, I know we have a contract with the county, is that where some of our extra money needs to go because of other things? And a couple of the facts I look at is we look at, we talk about using some of the budget savings for that. We've had a reduction in force of 11 staff of positions we haven't filled. Recently, we denied an elected official's request to replace one position of the 2 people she lost during that same period. And last week, I actually voted to hold on hiring temporary seasonal firemen. And so when I start to put things in perspective, it's hard for me to have any potential of added increased costs to the county, knowing we're making those decisions. And I'll be honest, I think years ago when they were looking at cutting 4-H, there was a story about how families had their sheep and goats and stuff out there. My wife, I think, had a couple of our goats out there. So I've been on the other side of this thing too. I'm not going to lie, but changing sides of the podium, it's really difficult. And I think it's easier to make some of these decisions once we're into the budget process and we can see some of the allocations, we can see some of the numbers, and we can see where we're at. Because right now, all I see is this big old flashing billboard that says we're down about $15 million. Until we get into the weeds, it's hard to see past that number to see where the wiggle room in the budget is. So for me, I would like to see us hold on some of these decisions until we get into those weeds a little bit.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other commissioners? Commissioner Shanefield?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to just dovetail a little bit on, instead of maybe just looking at what might be convenient, we're all going to struggle. All of these, all of our nonprofits, all of our component agencies, and our core government are going to struggle. Maybe let's figure out what's going to save money moving forward. If using the basement right now for a couple of years until our budgets turn around is going to be the option, maybe that's a better option for us as we're cutting and looking at those things and using that realized savings to, maybe help keep your budget a little more whole, since you do have some rent savings and things like that. So I would urge you to look at maybe even some other options that may say, hey, look, we turned around and we do have rent savings. We're not asking for anything right now. Maybe there's a fundraiser that can be done too, that, the community can contribute. I also am a 4-H'er. I grew up showing horses. And I think that there's also some partnerships, maybe with the events complex or maybe with, some of our facilities here, that would end up saving all of us money and give you guys even a better space to be in. So I would urge you to look at some of those options as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other comments, commissioners?
Well, I would
Commissioner
just
Tillman?
say that too. Maybe you can get the 4-H kids in some kind of fundraiser to buy a shed and talk to the foundation. I know they have money in that foundation, so maybe they could help it. I mean, it would make it our job a lot easier in justifying the rest of the budget that we contribute.
Yeah, and those, those are certainly things that we can work on as well, and things that we can do. Just, I guess I would say I have differing experiences in terms of how commissioners wanted to spend out those budget savings. And so we wanted to just get clarity on that from you guys. So.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other comments? Marty, you're on. Is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I would like to inquire about the potential possibility of maybe assigning a county commissioner liaison to the extension program for Sweetwater County. I think it would be very valuable to us to have someone that we could go to and use for reference and help with anything associated with county, and instead of borrowing whoever might be working with the Sweetwater Events Complex.
Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Commissioners, anything else?
I have one more
Please.
item. As you know, over the last year or two, there's been some inquiry in terms of the commissioners across the state to have more input on University of Wyoming Extension and specifically some of our programs. So we've been working and developing, so as part of our annual evaluation process, we've developed an evaluation instrument, or it just really checks in to see that we'll be sending you, and it's optional for you guys to fill that out. We'd certainly like that feedback, but it gives you an opportunity to provide feedback on our employees within the county and programs that you have going on in the county. So just a heads up, we're finalizing that here hopefully this week and getting that sent out. And like I said, it would give you an opportunity to provide some feedback, give us some ideas of what's working great, what could be improved, and those sorts of things. So just wanted to let you know that would be coming out. So.
Thank you, Bridger. Will that come out to individual commissioners by email or through
Yes.
Sally to all of us?
Our intent is that it would go to each commissioner individually, and I guess as a commission, you can decide whether you want to fill those out individually or as one commission and send it. We're just hoping this starts to open that channel to get that feedback on an annual basis.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing it.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, Bridger. And are you traveling?
Yeah, well, I'll be traveling back to Evanston now.
Well, make sure you travel safely, please.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marty.
Well, I have to tell you that he's done some outstanding outreach workshops, retreats. I've had the pleasure of attending. They even cook steak for you and everything.
Put that in the budget? Or steaks in the budget, Bridger?
With that, with
It
Christmas.
might have been roadkill. I don't know.
Oh,
It
no.
tasted pretty
No,
good though.
and Commissioner Tolman, you are exactly right. The programs that do come out of the extension supported by UW, of course, their programs they're excellent programs. I don't think there's any questioning at this table about the quality or anything along that line. I think we're down to another issue, and
Yeah.
that's all it is. It's not anything other than that.
That's understandable. We want to work with you on that. We're just trying to figure out ways to get ourselves.
All righty.
I'll give you
Thank
my
you.
card if you only call me for good news.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Bridger. Thank you, Marty. Have a good one. Be safe. Moving on, commissioners, I believe our next agenda item will be presentation by Ms. Berry on the budget and audit schedule. So I believe in our audience and joining us is Ms. Berry. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay.
You need a chair?
No, I'm okay.
No
I can
crutches
walk.
anymore.
I
Look at
know.
you.
I know.
Okay.
That's why I'm in here. I didn't come in previously because you know, the crutches can kind of be awkward and so can
We-
falling on
Welcome
camera.
aboard.
So
You're doing very
Um,
well,
thank
very
you.
well.
So anyway, I'm here today to discuss the budget and audit schedules and then also the budget funding request form. So first, I just wanted to review the tentative budget schedule that I put together for you. This is just a discussion. I just want to make sure these dates are okay with you. If there's anything you want to change, please speak up and let me know. So the dates that really pertain to you in the budget schedule are going to be basically, we're going to have budget workshops following the commissioner meetings in May and June. So following the 2 commissioner meetings in May and following the 2 commissioner meetings in June, and then also adopting the budget I have that scheduled for Thursday, June 17th. Are there any issues with any of those dates? Are you wanting to move anything around? I know last year we started 1 commissioner meeting earlier. I didn't know what your feelings were because I know we are doing things a little bit differently this year. So I didn't know how you wanted this part of the budget to change, or if you didn't want it to change, or what your thoughts were on this. So I just wanted to get your feedback on.
Thank you. Thank you,
this before
Bonnie.
I said it.
Commissioners, your thoughts? Mary, you didn't experience it, or Commissioner Tillman, you didn't experience it last year or the year before, but other commissioners have, so
I've always been on the back end of it.
I know. It's like,
She's experienced it longer
this
than the
is
rest
not
of
a
you
good
have.
year this is not a good year to be on the front end, Mary.
I know, I'm not too wise about that. I don't know, my only question is, can we move any of this up, or is it easier just to follow the regular routine?
That's a good question. I would lean that question to the other commissioners and see what they're thinking. Moving any of it up.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield?
I also would like to move things up. However, I think we have to wait for numbers to come in. Is that correct, Bonnie? I mean, we have to know what our carryover is going to be and everything else.
Right. So that's why so basically what drives the schedule for me is presenting the requests to the commission, which has to be done by May 15th statutorily. So I always tentatively schedule that for the first meeting in May. So that's on the agenda for the first meeting in May. But we can move it up, and we did move it up 1 meeting last year. You're correct, Commissioner Shanefield, that the earlier we start, the more things change, and it gets a little messier because things are just changing. So, and not just with the revenues, also with the expenditures. Even just last year, moving it up at just 1 commissioner meeting, I had several people call me in a panic saying, I don't know what this number is yet. What do you want me to do? And I just say, well, take your best guess. That's all you can do, and get me the form by the deadline so we can present these requests. So it's not just on the revenue end, it is on the expenditure end as well. So we do just have more information, and things don't change as much the later you do it, because we do have better numbers. Both the revenue numbers and the people requesting funding have better numbers as well.
Good. Other questions, commissioners? Anybody else? My question would be as you know, I like the idea of moving it up, but I like the reason I think it could move up would depend on what we get done as far as our contacts of the budget liaisons. We'd want that all completed so people are notified, that we know everyone's been notified with the message, so that when Bonnie sends her forms out, they can begin working on them and getting them in, because I think it'll be crucial for us to have an opportunity to call people in and set a schedule based on what their submittal of their budget is. Now, I think that's in your schedule.
It is, and that was the next issue I wanted to discuss with
Thank
you.
you.
If we wanted to do that the same way as we have in the past because of the changes that
Yeah.
have been made.
So first of all I will ask my fellow commissioners, the budget forms are going out when, Bonnie?
The budget forms, the funding request forms are going out Monday, March 22nd.
All right.
So I like to give the outside agencies and component units a full month, because some of them only have 1 board meeting a month. So currently on this tentative schedule, those are scheduled to go out Monday, March 22nd, and they're scheduled to be due by Friday, April 23rd. So that would give them a full month to complete those forms.
Okay, first question, fellow commissioners, will you have all your calls made prior to Bonnie sending the forms out? Go ahead,
That
Commissioner
gives us a
Shanefield.
full month too.
I know it is.
So I think we should be good.
Yeah, I think so too, and that type of thing. So if we can get that, that'll work on that schedule. Then I think it'll be important to, once the forms are returned to you, because allowing a month is what needs to be done because of board meetings.
Right.
Then I think we need to look at them, and we need time to look at them carefully. So we can tell you who to bring in and that type of thing. And go from there. So let's go back to the schedule, commissioners, with your thoughts. It is optional, Bonnie, to make some adjustments as we move forward if we have to.
We can, yes.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I think it's well thought out.
I do too.
And I think that it's laid out this way for a reason. We can move things up and then we guess and then we have to wait and correct it later. To me, it sounds like for me, I'd rather just keep it as scheduled and work through it as laid out. That way we have good information. We can make good decisions just once instead of tentative decisions twice and then one good decision.
Agreed. Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I usually am a proponent for moving it up a little bit, but I think this laid out is the way we should go at this point, because I think we're doing the extra work up front that will also help. But I also think probably one of the most important things is something we've already discussed, and that's our philosophies and how we want to move forward with the budget as a commission. And I know we've already started talking about coming up with what our bottom line number as a commission was for reserves. And having those discussions before we even start meeting with the other agencies regarding how much we're willing to use a carryover, if there will be carryover, and then how much we're willing to dip into reserves this year and those things. I think if those discussions happen before this, we get into the meat of this process. I think we're fine on the discussion piece there. So
Thank you, Commissioner. Other commissioners? Lauren still shaking her head. Commissioner Tolman? You okay? The one thing I will comment is I think as we move forward, staying with these dates, if there's some extra work that needs to be done, we may have to adjust our schedule if we have to do something other than what we see before us. That would be the only part. And then comment on Commissioner Lloyd. Our next meeting, our treasurer will be in to help us set that cut mark standard for reserves. So that'll happen at our next meeting. Okay?
thank you.
Anything else you have to offer, Ms. Berry?
That is all I have on the budget schedule.
Okay.
So from this discussion, we'll just move forward with this.
Got that?
I'm ready to move on to the next schedule if you are.
We are ready.
Okay, great.
May I ask, are we able to share the funding request form that you provided with our groups as we meet with them, or is this not finalized yet? Or?
We're getting to it. That'll be
okay.
the last thing we
Oh,
discuss.
I apologize.
But
then.
absolutely, you will be welcome to share this with them. It will be available on our website, and I will be emailing it out to all of the contacts as well
Fair enough.
on that March 22nd date.
Let's talk about the audit
So,
schedule first.
Let's talk about
Let's
the
not
audit
get ahead of
schedule first.
ourselves.
Okay. So the next schedule is the audit schedule, and the date that pertains to you as a commission on this one is just the last commissioner meeting of the year, which is Tuesday, December 21st. That is when we plan to approve the audit report. Other than that, it's all taken care of by me pretty much. So I just wanted to get your input. Are you okay with that date? Or I welcome any other feedback that you have on the audit.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Commissioners, any feedback? It's okay. Commissioner Shanefield?
Thank you. This is very similar to last year's, right? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the date and that approval date is the same. We just had some issues with guidance on the CARES funding. So that's why it didn't get done timely last year and according to the schedule. But yeah, that is when we approve it. It is due to the state by the end of the year. The audit report is, they do give you an automatic 1-month extension. So that's what drives that date right there.
Thank you. Very
Thank
well
you.
explained.
I'm good with it.
You're good, Commissioner?
You
Tolman?
said December 22nd. That's not a regular meeting date for us, so,
Tuesday, December 21st. Did I say 22nd? I apologize if I did.
but is that our regular meeting
Yeah.
date?
Yes.
It's the third Tuesday.
Oh, okay. I just didn't want to spend
We
my
get,
Christmas
we get,
vacation.
we get an extra week between the third Tuesday in November and the first Tuesday in December.
Yeah.
get an
okay,
extra
so it
week.
Slid everything forward.
Yeah, so that's when you plan your, that's when you plan your cruises and everything else, so you
Yeah,
don't
right,
miss a
yeah,
meeting.
Yeah. And then
Come in from your cruise.
Sally will plan her, her all-inclusives to Mexico at that time.
yeah, book extra compartments for us.
All
the
right,
rest of us.
thank you. All right,
Okay,
commissioners,
so
we
we're
okay on
with
the
the
audit
schedule?
schedule? Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay,
Bonnie.
and then the next item that Commissioner Smith jumped the gun on is the funding request form.
Trying to get stuff done,
So
Bonnie.
this funding
Trying to get
request
stuff done.
form, this funding request form is the form that goes out to the component units and the outside agencies. And like I said previously, they have a month to fill it out. It is basically a compilation of what the commission has wanted to request from these agencies previously. So you are more than welcome to make any changes to it that you want. You can take out stuff, add stuff, do whatever you want to it. It just, like I said, it just kind of started with this, and one year a commissioner will be like, oh, let's add this or let's add this. So it's just become this. So if you want to make any changes to it, you are more than welcome to do it. I just updated the dates and from last year's, and that's about it. So if you want to make changes, let me know what changes you would like me to make.
Questions, Commissioner Toman?
Well, I think when we're going out to component units, maybe we could streamline this. I don't know if we would want to add all these questions, but how do they serve the county, and do they see a way to get
That's on there.
themselves off of the, I don't know. I didn't read them all.
Yeah, that's on the second page. It says, it's a request justification. It says state how the funds requested will benefit your organization and the county as a whole. So I don't know if that's sufficient to what you're requesting. Is that sufficient? It gives you a whole page to explain that.
Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield.
Have you had issues with outside agencies reporting days of cash on hand? I don't remember from last year if all of them did. I think that that's something we need to make sure that they do, because it's going to be scrutinized this year.
The majority of them do. They're not always accurate. Last year I did go through and just kind of tried to recalculate them the best I could to make sure they were at least reasonable. But they usually complete that, not always, and sometimes it's wrong. So hopefully that answers your question. And I do have the formula on there too. So
Good.
Yeah, I saw that. That may be something that we want to touch base on when we talk to them.
Yeah, in the conversations I've had, excuse me, Ms. Berry, conversations I've had, I have mentioned that we want to look very carefully at their carryover and also CARES money, what they've gotten for CARES money, how that impacts their budgets.
is that something you would like me to add to this?
Yes.
Okay, so how would you like me to word it? What specifically are you after?
Oh,
Have you
Lordy.
received any money from CARES Act
Not
funding?
ha-
Yes,
I wouldn't give them the
no,
option, say
and-
yes or no.
Well, then
yeah.
I can ask how much and
Yeah,
in what
okay, very
capacity.
good. Yeah, we want to know we want to know if they've received CARES money, and we want to know how much. And I think, I'd ask this question, would we want to know what they've used it for, or, what they've, and what, how,
Very much
what they've
so.
used it for in their budgets?
Because I think we want to, the real question is, have you been made whole from your losses? Have you been, are you halfway there?
Well,
Did you get nothing?
if it's a reimbursement for your expenses, or in the case of the charitable, for lost funding opportunities that impact your revenue, to me, that impacts your carryover.
Mhm.
So they should, if they had any CARES money, be able to say, hey, how much it's impacted their carryover as well. So that would be a question, part of it.
Okay, do you want me to ask that separately or just look at their cash carryover to
Ask
determine
that
that?
separately.
Okay, so I'm
I think
asking,
I think we have a right to drill down on federal dollars.
okay, so you want me,
It could be under grant funding. You could put number 1, CARES funding, amount, how used, or something like that.
And I think in our conversations, we're going to have to ask, I was planning on asking, you know, how has that affected you? Has that, I know in my business, it has made us whole. It's more than covered
Well,
our expenses that
You're right.
we incurred with PPE and overtime. And, but that's because we've, you know, fought for 6 different grants and
mhm.
not everybody's done that. Some have said, I'm not doing that. It's too much work. So, so yeah, you want to know
So
what the
maybe
questions are.
maybe a formula like loss due to COVID minus CARES Act funding difference.
I don't know if it's a form. I think it's more of a conversation, but I think
Okay.
I think that, you know, how much did you get? What was it expended on? Those
Okay.
are important things that I think we can quantify in this. And then
Okay.
when we go out individually, I think that it's a conversation we need to have, because I'm not sure that I could explain. I mean, I'm not sure I could explain it all in a formula of how much this meant or how much that grant meant to us. So yeah, how much they got, certainly
Okay.
what it went for, what it was expended on. Did they expend it all? Like, that, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I have whether you received CARES money, yes or no, how much, and what have you expended it on?
Yeah, with the totals. So if they got $1 million in the grant, but they only spent 900,000, you know, itemize out the 900,000. We spent this on this on this.
Okay.
Would it be fair to ask
don't
how has it impacted your carryover, if it has?
I think so.
I think so. I don't think it was intended to be supplanting, so I
I
think.
don't either.
I think that there's, you know, yeah, I don't know if there will get anything back on that, but I think it's a good question.
Yeah.
But you look at an organization like Starbus, and I think this is kind of what Jeff was alluding to, who was actually able to reduce their request to us last year based upon projected money they received from the CARES Act, which really covered 2/4 of their budget. And so they were able to ask for a significantly less amount from us based upon what they received. Because I think, you know, and Jeff and we've talked about this in the past, some organizations were able to get enough CARES Act money to become a whole, you know, and break out about as well as they would without the CARES Act money. And I think we're looking at our organizations in a good spot, because some businesses have definitely been destroyed because of COVID, but some of them that have been able to receive some of the funding have been able to remain somewhat fluid. So I think that's what we're looking for. Am I right, Jeff?
It's exactly what I was,
Okay.
yeah, trying to get to.
Great minds think alike every once in a while.
Yeah, well, no, but you're touching on something that we need to wonder. And that is if it's impacted the stars and some of our other agencies in such a positive manner, maybe it's impacted others and we just don't know it. And we should know it, because times are tough.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking today at our round 2 of this, you know, nearly $1 million we're handing out. So are we making a United Way whole? Is that helping? I want to give away every penny of that, because that's one less penny that they need from the county. And so I think that, you know, that list there will be able to look at and say, well, we handed you this much money through the CARES Act. So how did that help you, or how did that affect you?
Yeah.
So those are the questions I think we need to understand. And like I say, it's probably more of a discussion, get the numbers, but then have the discussion as we're out with them.
So did we make it clearer or muddier for you?
I think I'll rewatch it on YouTube and try to get what I can.
And if you have any questions for any one of us, you'll let us know.
Okay. Would you like me to put this in there and then email it to you to get your
Sure.
say on it before I send it out? Is there anything you want me to take out of it?
Right now, I could
Okay.
say no, because it's
Okay.
been pretty good for me, but that's just, I'm only one, so.
Couple of them, if you could just remove the request line, that'd be awesome.
Remove the request line.
Just on a few of them.
See, and
The
I was
larger ones.
thinking that was the only one you needed, because
no,
sometimes
we
I
don't.
feel like that's the only thing you look at.
Fill in the zero.
Spoken by.
I look at the whole thing, even though I know others have said, I just want to know what they got last year and they got this year. I look at the whole thing.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm not wasting my time.
Lottie,
We will read them.
okay, let's,
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
okay, let's remember, let's just get some order to this, please.
Oh, sorry. Mr.
I
Chairman.
was kidding, by the way. I was.
I know you were.
kidding.
I know you were. Okay, any other questions for Bonnie?
I know it's hard to memorize a book this thick, so.
Any other questions? All right, let's move forward.
Okay,
You
thank
done
you.
good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, commissioners, we'll move on to our next agenda item is approval of the 2021 Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant Agreement. And I believe on the screen with us is Miss Marshall, and maybe is Fire Warden Bornasian on. There he is. I see him. How you doing, Mike?
Good.
Good. Welcome, Christina. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'll actually be going over the next 3 agenda items. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the fire warden is with us, so from far away. So this first item is for the approval of the 2021 Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant Agreement. Sweetwater County was awarded $5,000 in VFA grant funding from the Wyoming Office of State Lands, State Forestry. This grant requires a cash match of 50% and expires soon in May by May 30th, 2021. So the purpose of this funding is to support local fire departments that serve rural areas and communities with a population of 10,000 or fewer inhabitants to prevent and suppress rural fires and enhance protection capabilities. Mike is proposing to use this grant award to purchase personal protective equipment. And originally he wanted a floato pump. However, he contacted me to say that there has been a delay with the vendors, so that item might be replaced. And we'll hear from him here in a second. So this requires a 50% match, as I mentioned. This has actually been included in the fiscal year 2021 grant projects budget, but originally for the amount of $10,000. So just a heads up, you'll have $5,000 in cash carryover already. This equipment also was not included in the fire department's regular fiscal year 21 budget. So Mike, since this is your project, do you have anything to add about that floato pump or anything else?
Good morning, Warden. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you, Christina. No, there's a lot of equipment out there that due to COVID and its impact on industry, we cannot get some of the portable equipment that we normally would and have earmarked for this grant. So we'll be using the full 5,000 on a PPE. So we rely on it every year. It's an annual grant. We always hope we get this grant. We've been very successful. It's a very small grant, but yet it keeps us going and helps keep my budget requests down. So we rely on it every year for personal protective equipment. We need to cycle through that PPE. Some elements like pants and jackets can go just a few years, and some can go 10, 15 years. So we're constantly cycling through to keep things as fresh as we can and staggered across the board. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Warden. Christina, anything to add before we go to the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, no, I have nothing to add.
Thank you, Christina. Commissioners, questions for either Ms. Marshall or the fire warden? Commissioner Shanefield.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mike, so you said that this is not going to have that pump included in it. So how many helmets, coats, and pants is this going to cover?
Well, this will cover, it depends on who we get coming in. And if we have to buy new pants, coats, depending on sizes, things like that. We just completed inventory. So when I get back from this assignment I'm on, working vacation assignment, we'll be making the final determination, but it depends. It really depends on what we have and who comes on. We've got till May. So we'll look at applicants and
during interviews, we start sizing people up ahead of time who we're looking to hire. So it's going to vary, but we've been able to utilize the grant every year to keep up. So we try and keep that inventory as fresh as we can with a little depth. So I don't have an exact number for you.
Thank you, Fire Warden. Any other questions, Commissioner Shanefield?
I do. So Christina, if this grant is approved today, but we don't know numbers and everything else until May, is that going to create an issue processing?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Shanefield, no, there will not be an issue with processing it.
Thank you, Christina. Other questions, commissioners? No further questions. I will ask commissioners, what's your pleasure with this grant?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Smith.
I move that we approve the 2021 Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant Agreement for the County Fire Department and also authorize the chairman to sign.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Shanefield.
I guess I have a hard time even with the matches at 5,000 if we don't even know who these are going to, if we actually have a full need. I know it's built into the budget, but we just told 4-H that we weren't going to support them adjusting their budget for 5,000. And so it's not a lack of support. I know that we need equipment and we need to keep our firefighters safe, but at this point in time, I am going to vote no and just request a roll call vote.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Toman?
Yes.
Commissioner Shanefield?
No.
Commissioner Wendling, yes. Motion carries. Let the record reflect 1 no. Commissioner Shanefield, thank you. Any other questions, Christina? And Mike?
Nope, not on
All right.
that item.
All right, well, thank you very much. Warden, thank you for joining us and continue on with your vacation assignment. We'll see you when you get back. Thank you. All righty, next up, commissioners, on our agenda is the approval to submit a, whoops, I think I moved it. No, to submit the rural development grant application to Wyoming Business Council for small business recovery from the pandemic. And Ms. Marshall, how many, I looked at them, we got a number of them, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, this agenda item is only an application from the county. I have on here Kayla McDonald, the Economic Development Specialist for the project. So you're maybe thinking the next one.
I am. I was cross-reading down. So let's go on with the next one with you and Miss McDonald.
Okay.
And then we'll take a 5-10 minute break.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the county has the opportunity to apply to the Wyoming Business Council for a rural development grant. The purpose of the funding is to assist projects that improve the conditions of rural Wyoming. So if approved, the grant award would be used to assist small businesses in the community to recover from the pandemic by collaborating with entrepreneurial communities, a group that's led by a consultant, Mo Collins, who would provide short-term, high-impact consulting sessions and a webinar. The project also includes developing a business community assessment that would or could identify future courses of action to strengthen economic development in Sweetwater County. Now, I want to caution you, this collaboration is a prototype, so it's very fluid, but in parallel, the county is a pioneer for this effort, and Sweetwater County would represent the rural sector in phase 1 of this project at a reduced rate. Phases 2 and 3 are optional. The estimated timeline of this project is May 15th, 2021 through April 30th, 2021. Now, I had a lot of questions for the consultant who actually replied back yesterday with some very valuable information about this project. The first item I want to emphasize is it's for entrepreneurs, small businesses, and nonprofits could be included. There are many nonprofits in Sweetwater County that could probably benefit from this information. So in the project itself, I was personally kind of confused what it is. So in phase one, there are several parts to it. It's called the sprint under this econ plan. So the first item, there would be a business community assessment. It's actually being called now an ecosystem assessment. That would have 3 types of purposes. It would raise awareness of entrepreneurs and small businesses. Second, it would include best practices to support all these local entrepreneurs and small businesses. And 3, it would provide baseline data, including the size of these businesses, the number of people employed, and this could help craft future strategies. Also in the sprint plan, the businesses would have access to consultants. Each of these sessions, up to 40, would be kind of like coaching and personalized with the businesses. So I think that could be very helpful for our community. The webinar that would be under the sprint plan is actually 100% focused on pandemic recovery. So it's very current for the situation in Sweetwater County. And then finally, we would receive a quote unquote businesses served report. Now, because this is a prototype project, you should be aware that there could be some hiccups along the way, but we're getting a reduced rate of $4,000. And that's why we could apply to the Business Council to cover that $4,000, leaving no required match for Sweetwater County. I would like to note that the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition advisory team has reviewed and recommended this project. The project and potential grant award would actually be contracted directly to Sweetwater County. Now, Kayla is here to also speak about it. She has some additional information, but the final point I would like to make is this consultant is going to rely on local efforts as well. The SCDC would probably be involved, as well as Kayla during this sprint period for a month and a half. So her time will be completely allocated for this effort if you approve it. So I'm happy to answer any additional questions, but I would like to invite Kayla McDonald to also talk about this project.
Thank you, Christina. Kayla, I see you're there. Would you like to add anything? You're muted. Kayla, you're on mute. There we go.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
She has issues a lot of times with her computer, so I'll jump in really quick if that's okay with
Yeah.
you.
Go ahead.
And see if she maybe can hop off and hop back on. So this plan actually goes along with the plan for SEDC to support current local businesses instead of just trying to recruit more. I think that it's very well supported by both the city of Green River and the city of Rock Springs. And I think it's kind of an exciting thing. Kayla actually reached out to the Business Council, and they don't typically do a full amount, but they thought that this was a very exciting pilot program for Sweetwater County to be involved in. And they actually suggested the full $4,000 for us to apply for. So I think that it's very promising, and I'd like to point out that there is no cash match for the county. And so this would be 100% grant funded and would not cost us anything additional, but could be very valuable to some of our businesses in the community.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your comments. I don't know. I don't see Kayla on yet, but she might be on her way up. I don't know.
She might be, but one of the points that she was going to add, or Kayla, can you try again?
Can you guys hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
I tested volume and it still kicked me off. But good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I was just going to add that I have spoken with the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce Director CEO Rick Lee, and also Chad Banks with the URA Main Street in Rock Springs. And they are on board to help us with the process. And they will be putting the word out to their businesses, as well as helping identify potential businesses that we could survey in this process. And I will be meeting with the CEO at the Green River Chamber this week, and just pending a meeting with the Main Street Director for Green River.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any commissioners, any questions for either Kayla or Christina? Kayla, I have one for you, and now that you're on, I would ask, this is a pilot program, so what's the next steps look like?
So next steps for us would be, after the 30 days, we have the option to exceed out to 90 days, which we are going to be given that anyways because it is a pilot. And that process will basically pair us up with some local partners, so we can identify people in our community that are strong entrepreneurs, strong consulting people to help our businesses. So they're basically going to test the community on those programs that we need as far as the challenges that our businesses are facing. And then after that, we'll identify certain people in the community that can help move this forward after they've educated everybody through the webinar process. So at that point, we have the possibility to jump on for more funding with the Business Council, or find some other ways of funding the next steps.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Commissioners, any questions? With no questions, then commissioners, what's your pleasure regarding this rural developmental grant application?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield.
I would like to make a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the rural development grant application to the Wyoming Business Council to assist small businesses recover from the pandemic.
We have a motion to approve and authorize chairman to sign by Commissioner Shanefield. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion, commissioners? No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Kayla. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it
thank
very
you.
much. Be safe and have a good day. Prior to this agenda item, I mentioned we'd take a break. Christina, are you okay with and commissioners, a 10-minute break? Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back and deal with the charitable grants. Thank you.
Does my microphone work? Does my microphone work? I cannot. Does my microphone work?
Back to order, and our next agenda item, of course, is the approval to submit a rule, I'm sorry, not that one, but
Did that one.
we did that one. Anyhow, it's a charitable act applications, approvals, and with us to present those is Ms. Marshall, so Christina.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this is my last agenda item. So I'm going to cover a brief reminder of what the whole program is, just to refresh your memory, and then we'll go into the application. So Sweetwater County was allocated $932,414.53 in CARES Act funding under the Community Charitable Relief Program. The purpose of the funding is to provide grants to quote unquote charitable organizations that provided public assistance or service and or have seen a decline in donations or revenue during the COVID-19 pandemic. The funding can only be used for specific purposes as described in the program rules. So there's basically two general types of expenses or uses of the funding. One is for allocable expenses. By that, I mean expenses that can have a receipt tied to it. So it can be used to provide a good service or direct payment to persons impacted by COVID-19, or to cover the nonprofit's operational costs of providing services or direct payments to the public in a safe manner during the pandemic. When we say nonprofit, we're basically interchanging what the word charitable organization means. Also, the funding can be used for lost donations or other revenue for the nonprofits. But it has to be a direct result of an interruption caused by COVID-19. So last month on January 15th, the county commissioners awarded 68% of the allocation, or $631,043.57 to 14 nonprofit organizations in the first round of consideration, contingent upon verification of compliance. Sweetwater County made available a second round of funding for organizations to submit an application by February 1st. There were 7 originally submitted and 1 was later withdrawn. So the amount of available charitable funding is still being finalized because round 1 reimbursements were due last week and they're still being reviewed for compliance. Honestly, I created a reimbursement form that is very lengthy to ensure the proper documentation for auditing purposes. Some of the primary areas causing a delay for the processing are proving eligibility. The charitable organization must be a nonprofit and have provided goods, services, or payments to the public related to COVID-19 public health emergency. That is a lot of agencies think that by being a nonprofit, they qualify, but actually there has to be a link that their operations were impacted by COVID-19. They don't have to be public health related. It could be that they changed how they conducted services because of COVID-19. Another area that has been difficult has been determining the allowable lost revenue. The nonprofit must prove it generated less revenue between March 19th through December 30th in the years 2019 and 2020 and meet the requirement for charitable organization, which I just described. So just losing money is not enough. You have to prove that you provided also some type of goods, services, or payments and had the lost revenue. So, and with the lost revenue, once you pass the first threshold, then you have to prove your lost revenue for, like, let's say a fundraiser, and then any other relief that the organization received must be subtracted out of that. So it's been a little complicating, but we're getting there. I decided it could be beneficial and in the interest of the county to have other eyes review this process and some of my concerns. So I created a committee comprised of myself, our accounting manager, Bonnie Berry, and Deputy County Attorney John DeLeon. We actually met last week to review some of the reimbursements and compliant concerns, had a very lengthy conversation. John calls it in the war room, so it's been very interesting. So payments will be approved using a consistent methodology determined by this committee. I would like to mention I've had numerous conversations with the governor's office, with the Wyoming County Commissioners Association, Jeremiah Riemann, also with other counties to see what they're doing. Any unused funding must be returned to the governor's office by March 1st. By next week, I need to determine all the available funding that will be distributed, but the actual agreements will be on your agenda March 16th, and then payments will be issued on the same day. So in your packet, I have provided a summary of the requests and recommendations, and they're listed in overall numerical order of receipt and rounds. Second, there is a government subdivision certification form that has to be submitted to the governor's office for each award. I'm also asking you for permission to allow myself to sign those. And then finally, for your entertainment, I thought you'd like a copy of the rules to read to see how confusing it is. So in your packet that I provided, there were 15 applications in the first round. The commission awarded 14 because one was withdrawn, and that total award again was $631,043.57. That left an available balance of $301,370.96. Now, again, I'm vetting through these reimbursements, and it is very probable that some of them may not be approved for payment. And I just want to let you know it's because of those rules. For this round that you are being asked to take action on today, we received 7 applications in which the last one was withdrawn. I would like to read these to you. We have lots of folks on the Zoom call who submitted these applications, and there might be someone in your meeting room across the hall. So application number 16 that came in the second round is Mount Olives Church. They're requesting PPE, cleaning services, and teleconferencing expenses in the amount of $2,182.50. Application number 17, Sweetwater Family Resource Center. They're requesting motels, emergency shelter, utility assistance, goods and services to clients for $46,177.85. Next, application number 18, Rock Springs Renewal Fund. They are requesting lost donation or other revenue in the amount of $11,956.31. Application 19, that is the YWCA of Sweetwater County. They're requesting reimbursement for PPE, cleaning services, telework. That is in the amount of $1,856.65. Application number 20 is the Actors Mission. They're requesting lost donation or other revenue in the amount of $90,000. And finally, application number 21 is United Way of Southwest Wyoming. They submitted a first application in this round, in round 2, for $182,568.27. They submitted a supplementary application after the deadline for an additional amount, making the total actually $285,801. So with that, I just want to emphasize, in hearing your conversation with Bonnie Berry, that CARES Act money is not, I mean, yes, it's going to help supplement and make whole some of these organizations, but they all had to have taken action or been impacted by COVID. And some of those expenses may not be necessary next year. Hopefully we'll be through the pandemic. But anyhow, so I have some recommended motions, but as with the first round, you allowed each applicant to talk for maybe a minute or two to explain their project. I'm asking if you'd like to do that again this round. Or if you have any questions for me as well, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Christina. First of all, any questions for Christina?
I do.
Commissioner Smith.
Christina, so the recommendation though shows us with you're recommending we award $54,886 more than we have budgeted. Is that in anticipation of previous dollars not being spent?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Smith, I have 5 recommended motions on the last applicant, number 21. I'm requesting to award it in full up to the requested amount and contingent upon available funding. And I am anticipated some relinquished funding from round 1.
Enough so that you think that that difference would be made up? Almost 55,000? Do you think that much?
I do, but in the motion, it cannot exceed the available amount. And I'm just looking to see if I may have deleted that part of the motion. It was up to the amount of available charitable relief funding. So it could be $54,000 less. It's whatever is available. They were the last ones to submit an application that stayed in this round. And so it was my understanding the commissioners wanted to have it time-stamped when they came in. So they could receive up to this amount of $245,801, but it could be $54,886.18 less if the funding is not available.
Okay. So they're the ones that will be
impacted.
They're the ones that have the leeway in there, that we're putting the leeway in there. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Other questions, commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner Shanefield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Christina, on the request number 21, it has the first request at $182,568.27, and then the second request at $245,801, but then the total is $245,801. Can you explain that to me?
Yes, Commissioner or Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Shanefield, I believe it's a typo that they were trying to increase it by the difference of the two.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. Other questions, commissioners?
Yeah,
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So kind of going back to the number 21 request, that would be that 245,801 would be up and above what we've already approved at 214 from the previous round, correct?
Correct. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Lloyd, again, if you approve all the recommendations, it would still be in excess of $54,886.18 of what is available. But in the motion, it is not to exceed the requested amount or let's see, up to the amount available of charitable relief funding. So it might be less than 54. They might get cut 54,000 unless you decide to do something different.
And one other question, and you and I had this conversation last week when we were discussing some of this. I look at like United, and as we go through these and we have discussions, I want to make it very clear: every one of these organizations provide great services and assistance to our community during these times. We just have to be scrutinizing to make sure those things don't have to be repaid. They make the rules as I ask some of these questions. So with that being said, It talks about a charitable organization that provides good and services. So an organization like United Way of Southwest Wyoming, do they meet that definition, knowing that they're really more of a passer through of dollars?
Mr. Chairman, can I answer that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so two issues. So first, you'll see that they submitted application number 12 in the first round already. Second, that is the issue of charitable organization is one that we are not sure they meet that definition because they are a pass-through entity. All the applicants are being asked to describe in detail what goods or services did they provide. We looked at a profit loss statement for another organization that showed they lost revenue from United Way, and both of those applicants are applying for this. So there could be some duplication there. So that is a detail we are trying to figure out if they actually qualify for this. And second, Commissioner Smith, you hit it on the head that any charitable organization or nonprofit could apply. So there is a question if instead of United Way applying, could all the organizations they pass money to apply for this funding directly and remove United Way from the middle? So does that answer your question?
Commissioner Lloyd, your question answered?
Yes.
Thank you, Christina. Well explained. Very well explained. Other questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Shanefield.
So Christina, I guess that Commissioner Lloyd's question also leads me to the actors mission. I guess that could be a question for them, but what goods they're providing to the community as well. I know that they're a charitable organization receiving donations, but.
So Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Shanefield and commissioners, on the actors mission, you will see that their amount requested was reduced in the recommendation. Again, to follow the rules right off the bat, I saw that they use net ordinary income in their numbers and not what we call qualifying gross loss to donation revenue. Second of all, you may recall the frenzy for the application to go out. I know that the Sweetwater County scrambled. I was out of town and it was right before Christmas. So we used an application on the front end to try to get this process going and thinking that it had to be awarded out by December 30th. Well, now on the back end, we're cleaning things up, and the issue of eligibility is the first issue that we are vetting, and the second is allowable expenses or lost donation or other revenue. So Commissioner Shanefield, you are exactly correct. These agencies, I believe, are on the call, so I think it might be useful to talk to them right now as well.
Christina, we'll get to them, but let's make sure
Okay.
All of our commissioners have their questions asked first. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? I'm looking down the row. I don't see any. Okay, with that, Christina, if you would please, we'll go through each one, starting with number 16. And if you'd please introduce the applicant name as well as who's here to represent them, and if they'll come on then and tell us a little bit about their application. And we'd like to keep to about a minute, please. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, from Mount Olives, I believe we have Linda Cott and Jim Wassine representing. If they'd like to say a very quick summary for 1 minute.
Welcome and good morning. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Chairman Wendling and commissioners. Yeah, so we put in an application for cleaning expenses for the church, and also our Zoom, I guess our Zoom conference calling bill for this year. We had to move to Zoom. The church isn't meeting in person anymore, so we moved to a Zoom type format and also providing our service on YouTube. So that's our request right there. Basically, is the cleaning fees and also the Zoom meeting fees.
Very good. Thank you. Is Ms. Cott on? Linda? No, don't see her. So thank you, Jim.
I am.
Oh, where are you?
I'm not sure. Do I need to share?
There you are. There you
Or
are.
do you- Okay. Yeah, I Jim hit it. Basically, we did have some PPE in there also. And like he said, we did go to an online, a YouTube format for providing our services. And so we did maintain the cleaning because the church is still being used by our pastor. And also there are some open house times for people to come in that feel the need to be in the church and talk to the pastor or whatever. So we just wanted to make sure it stayed safe for everybody to be there. We obviously are using the social distancing and masking while people are in there. And so that was the reason for our request.
Thank you, Mrs. Scott. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Wasson or Mrs. Scott with this application? All right, no questions. Thank you for joining us and to explain your application. Let's move on. Christina?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, from Sweetwater Family Resource Center, we have Sherry West.
Hi, guys.
Good morning, Sherry. How are you?
So I'm good, I think. It's cold and
Floor is-
snowy, but.
Floor is yours. Welcome.
So Chairman and Commissioners, we're asking for the $46,177.85. Donations have been down from larger companies that usually donate to us, sometimes a significant amount. And the need has gone up. And we have gotten some CARES Act funding, both from CSBG and from ESG. But our ESG CARES Act money ran out. We were told that we would be able to roll more expenses into round 2 of that CARES Act money, and that got rescinded. We will be getting round 2, but it will not come until sometime in April. We're using our CSBG money, our CARES Act money from them, to cover some of that shortfall, but a lot of these were expenses that we incurred November, December, October, November, December for people with eviction notices and the homeless that we put up in hotels, and found out we were not going to get any reimbursement for any of that. It's all COVID related. As we know, people have lost their jobs, their hours have been reduced. I also sent out a short questionnaire to our local landlords, and as of the ones I have back so far, which is not a lot, but the ones I have back, there's a 244% increase in their tenants with past due rent. And that's a pretty huge increase. I think I have 8 back so far. And I asked them to tell me as of February 1st of this year, how many tenants were behind in rent, February 1st last year and February 1st of 19. So we've got a whole lot of panicked people in the county, mostly Rock Springs, but definitely Green River as well. And while we are getting some CARES Act money, it's just not enough or coming in fast enough. So we as an organization have actually expended this money. It came out of just general funds. We are not getting reimbursed by anyone at this point in time for this money.
Thank you, Mrs. West. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. West? No questions. Thank you, Sherry. Have a good day. Appreciate you joining us. Okay, Christina, who's number 18?
Okay, next one would be the Rock Springs Renewal Fund with Chad Banks.
Good morning, Chad.
Good morning, Commissioners. My apologies, my camera is not working this morning, but yeah, we are requesting just under $12,000. Most of those funds, well, actually not most of those, all of those funds are qualify under Section 8, the awards for lost donations or other revenue, and are just from October, November, December. We did receive some CARES funding from the Endurance Fund Act. for lost revenue from March through September. So this is just for the final quarter of 2020 for basically 3 large events that we had to cancel, lost all the revenue from those events.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Banks? No questions. Thank you, Chad. You have a good one. Appreciate you joining us. Christina, next.
Next would be the YWCA, Kayla Manico.
Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you all for having us. So we went ahead and applied for $1,856.65. These are for expenses such as tech expenses, so laptops to be able to work from home and continue providing the critical services that we do in the community. I also went ahead and included a few cleaning expenses as well, and those are an increase from what we would normally be paying. So because we were open and we provided those services, we did see an increase. I went ahead and just took the basic increase of thermometer covers and other things that you see on the application. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. Commissioners, any questions for Kayla with YWCA?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Shanesville.
Thank you. Kayla, you guys were open to provide childcare to those essential workers when everything was shut down, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? With no questions, Kayla, thank you for joining us and appreciate it. And you be safe out there. Okay, Christina, number 20.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, next is the actor's mission. And I show the contact is Brad Russell, but I see Bernadine Kraft on the Zoom. So I'm not sure who's representing them.
Christina, we, whoever you have on, they can represent, but we also have a representative here in the chambers. So let's go first with the representative in the chamber. Please identify and who you're with.
I'm Brad Russell. I'm with the Actors Mission.
Thank you, Brad.
And I managed to come down.
Okay, thank you. And I believe you have, is Bernadine, Miss Dr. Kraft on as well?
She's here.
I am, but I'm just totally moral support.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Dr. Kraft. Okay, Brad, the floor is yours.
Bernadine's on our executive producers. I realize that the Actors Mission doesn't seem like a normal choice for something like this. We fall into no category as far as reimbursement. We can't apply for business council monies because we don't have a business model. We don't pay our staff. We have 150 volunteers a year, at least, on stage, backstage, behind the scenes. We feed people for free at every single performance, which is, nobody does that in Wyoming as far as that goes. There's no charge for the performances. We're based on the WPA depression model of the projects, which is feed the mind and nourish the body. So everything is free, and it's our business model, basically. So when it comes to things like this, our product is gone, literally gone. We can't do anything. We can't put on shows. We put on one show last season, Waverly Gallery, and it took us about 9 months because wavering back and forth between can we put it on? Can we rehearse together? Can we put it in front of an audience? How do we put it in front of an audience? If we can only allow 10 people in the theater, then what's, so we back and forth and back and forth. So we actually did put on one show, and we're only available for money that's reimbursable for what we spend in our grants. So we've been around for 20 years. And we've gotten by on shoestrings forever, but we were donated 2 buildings downtown, and we add a huge amount of life to this downtown area. And by renovating these buildings, we intend to continue that. The expenses that we've incurred continue, whether we're putting on shows or not. And we haven't put ourselves into debt which is a good thing. We made a conscious choice to do that because we don't want to be in debt. We want to be continually able to put out product if we can. But this COVID has really stifled. I mean, you look at New York, you close theaters, people's livelihoods are gone. And thank goodness we don't have to pay people because we'd really be out of more. When I had the accountant look at our profit and loss statement for this that year, this time period, I was astounded at how much money we had lost. As far as donations go, we weren't able to do our large fundraiser for to renovate the buildings. We aren't able to do anything as far as donations go. All of this falls under that Section 8 in there. And I realize I'm asking for the full amount of what was not the complete full amount, but close to the full amount on our profit loss statement. And I realize that we probably won't get that because nobody ever does. But it would be nice, certainly. We can continue on without it. We'd rather not. It's put us back a year on renovating our building, on getting into a permanent home again. And we're not getting any younger, that's for sure. But we would like to say, if you have any questions at all for us, we're available. And we have, like I say, we're almost a fixture now. 20 years as a nonprofit downtown, that's, some people even know who we are.
That's funny.
So,
All right.
if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Before we go to any questions for Mr. Russell, Dr. Kraft, do you have anything to add?
I think Brad expressed it really well. It's very hard to actually put into tangible thoughts the intangible nature of the services we provide. But having been the old lady in Waverly Gallery, the longest running rehearsed show I've ever been a part of, I can tell you the enthusiasm and the excitement with which Actors Mission Productions are expressed throughout the community. They're looked forward to. We are a fixture in downtown, and we want very badly to be a part of the creative economy that we're all working so hard for. Brad expressed it very well. I'm also here kind of as the director of Sweetwater BOCC. We have underwritten the Actors Mission since its inception. Because we believe so strongly in the importance of arts and culture in downtown Rock Springs. So that's all I have to say. I'm available for any kind of questions from any of you. And thank you so much for giving us this time this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Kraft. With that, commissioners, any questions for either Mr. Russell or Ms. Dr. Kraft? Commissioner Shanefield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming today and explaining. I just want you to know that if this is approved, I know that Christina is working very closely with the Wyoming Business Council and everything, but that I don't know 100% if everything that, because she's got the different amounts and stuff that she believes
There's
would
a lot of
potentially-
hoops.
There are a lot of hoops. So just know that we support you, even, anything that we can do outside of this as well. So we appreciate. I'm a theater junkie as well, so.
Well, you should come join us. We're starting a readers committee for next season. Hope, God willing, we'll have a full season again. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions, commissioners? Seeing none, I thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you for Dr. Kraft, both of you joining us this morning. Have a good day and be safe.
Thank you.
Moving on, Christina.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the last applicant is United Way of Southwest Wyoming with Kelly Frink.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Frink.
Mr.
How are
Chairman.
you?
Good.
Good. The floor is yours, Kelly.
Thank you. I have one comment about our prior application that we can get into later. I will say that 2/3 of that last application was for direct services of our diaper bank and Dolly Parton's Imagination at Library. So those would not be considered pass-through at all. And I'm happy to provide, what was awarded to our organizations last year and how that all works in that process. We are never able to award what their requests are and what they need. And so that can be taken into consideration. This application, yes, it's totally for the campaign, but this is what we raised, you know, in the fall and the winter. And this is what will be awarded out. So these agencies are not claiming this loss yet. They will feel this loss in June when we send them their award letters or their lack of award letters and their decreases. And so what I'm asking for today is not something that they have asked for. That's totally, it's coming to them. They were trying to be able to fund them as best that we can in the upcoming months, because knowing that they've had all of these setbacks, and then they have to try to have more fundraisers, and that's not something that's easy to do right now. So this is purely the campaign. So again, we fundraise in the fall and the winter, and then we have a committee that reviews these grants. And we've actually, when Christina's done with this, we want to recruit her for our committee to help us review these grants and to delegate that money as best that we can, because, you know, we just never have what they ask for. So it's a long process to try to stretch those donor dollars as far as we can to make the biggest impact. So that's the difference between these two applications. And so I hope that helps clarify a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. And there is a, in the professional world of sports, wherever it is, you know, in order to talk with a player, it does cost money. So if you'd like to negotiate with the Board of County Commissioners just to talk with Christina, we want you to know we'll accept whatever you can give us. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Barring
Thank
that, Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Frank regarding her application? Commissioner Shanefield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kelly, can you tell me what, I mean, I know I work for Simplot and I ran their United Way campaign last year, and we were down about 40% in our donations. Can you tell me overall what you were down from those large company donations and their matches?
Sure. Campaign is such a long reporting process that we still don't have everything in our office. So we are predicting a 40 to 50% loss from the year prior.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioners? With no questions, Ms. Frank, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate your application. Christina, let's move forward.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, obviously there's no question about the merit of these applicants. I mean, we have such a strong community with heartfelt people. It's just, again, you're dealing with federal money and my hands are tied. And so, as I mentioned, a lot of the applicants were at a disadvantage because they were dealing with an application that was very general. And I'm not sure how many of them actually read the rules and then interpreted them. And it's been a work in progress. And so with the first round of applicants, I developed this form and I'm working with them to try to get narrative to fit and to have them tell me more about their activities. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to prepare reimbursements for these applicants that have been approved that can pass an audit without a doubt. Now, the endurance fund that was brought up today, I will mention, if you go to the Business Council website, and this money actually is not going through the Business Council, but it's kind of like the remnants of that money, and very similar. They're already going through audits of businesses through McGee, Hernan Pies, who was contracted out. They're finding, in uses of the funding that were not appropriate or allowable. They actually asked applicants who were awarded funding to return money with no questions asked if they felt, they may not pass an audit. We're just doing it on the end of passing the money out. We're getting all of our documentation as opposed to waiting until it gets audited and going back. So I apologize, especially to the applicants. I have really enjoyed working with them. There have been no final decisions. I'm meeting with John and Bonnie this Thursday to go through some, to make some final decisions. Next week, we have to determine the amount, if any, that will be returned to the state. So that deadline's coming up. So anyhow, I'm available for any additional questions you have on this second round or with the rules, which are also in your packet. And unfortunately, that's our guidance. So.
Thank you, Christina. Commissioners, any final questions for Christina? One, go ahead, Commissioner Smith.
No question, but just comment, thought, my thought process. I appreciate the work of this committee that's been put together and the recommendations. And so in my mind, I would, I will go with the recommendations. They're going to be doing the work on the back end here of verifying so that we don't have to, which is awesome, making our life a little bit easier. So I really appreciate Christina and the committee making this so that every penny can be spent if the requests are there. And so I appreciate that, the recommendation is for more money than it's actually out there, with the anticipation of some places not being appropriate. And so kudos, excellent job. I really appreciate that. And as I've said, I want to see every penny go out, and I hope that we're able to do that. So we'll see how it shakes out, though.
Very well said. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments, commissioners?
Great job.
Commissioner Toman?
Thanks.
Yeah, good job.
Thanks, Christina. Great job.
Yeah, very well put together. And like Commissioner Smith said, I hope we don't send one dime back to the state. Thank you. All right, commissioners, we're to that point of we have recommendations before us. And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Shanefield.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, excuse me.
if I could ask a question.
Sure.
Christina, is it appropriate, you have in your recommended motions, number 4, that it's dependent upon available funds? Is it appropriate to include that qualification in every motion? All 1 through 4?
Christina?
So, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, John, the recommendation was based on the order of receipt of applications. So again, with the possibility that there's not enough funding in a perfect world, that every penny that was awarded in round 1 gets distributed, how do we reduce round 2 allocations? Now, I decided to go with the recommendation of first come, first serve. But like I said, there's a strong possibility that not all of round 1 will be allocated. So I wanted to give that applicant the opportunity, if they meet the requirements, to get the full award. If the commissioners want, you could change it, unless, John, you have another recommendation. I don't know. I mean, right now there is $301,370.96 available. So if John, if we were made to make that motion or contingency for all of them, I'm not sure how I can process the reimbursement request if there's that same contingency. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, and I think that, I certainly defer to you on that point. As long as you think that including that in number 4 will accomplish that, I think that what I was contemplating was the giving more flexibility to you. But if you feel like number 4 accomplishes it, then that's fine.
So let me ask, when you say flexibility, John, what exactly are you referring to? Other applications to increase theirs if they meet the requirement? I'm just trying to think of implementation here.
Well, because I'm not sure that they're all dependent upon available funds, and I'm not sure which which one would potentially have to have a reduction in funds. And so it's just preparing for unanticipated things that could take place on Thursday. So I see it. I see your point, and I think that it should work. I just am not sure what we're going to run into on Thursday. So it was just preparing for unforeseen consequences, I guess.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I prioritized it by first come, first serve and the requests. Under the recommended motions for number 4, what would happen is that applicant would be reduced by $54,886.18 if every penny had been allocated. Now, if you want to change this prioritization, that's your discretion. So that could be the potential outcome, that award gets reduced to from $245,801 to $190,914.82 if every penny in round 1 was distributed. If you don't want that, then you can change the ranking of this.
Thank you, Christina. If I may look at the way it's set up, we have an allowance in the 4th recommendation today to, if anything were denied in the first rounds or looked at on Thursday, number 4 would allow applicant 21 to receive probably up to its fullest amount requested. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
And then, of course, we'd have met everybody else's. It does fall in line with how the CARES money originally came out from the SLIB board when we were first awarded the $1.25 billion from the feds. They went first come, first serve. And I believe this chambers is evidence of first come, first serve. And that's why we have it, because you were on it along with facilities, and we were granted that money immediately. And so, I mean, first come, first serve makes sense. That's all I'll say about it. So commissioners, any questions for either John or Christina at this time? Commissioner Shanefield.
I have 2. Christina, you said that the second application for number 21 was after the deadline, correct?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Shanefield, that is correct. The first application that was submitted within the deadline timeline was $182,568.27.
Thank you. And then I have a point of order question in regards to the motions. Is it okay to include all of these in one single motion, or John, do you think we need to do 5 different motions?
As with before, I mean, I think that you can combine motions as long as they're, I think, I don't see anything in this particular set of motions that requires them to be separate, other than number 4 has a different criteria.
You okay with that, Commissioner? Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? As the chairman, I will entertain a motion to approve the recommended motion, number 1, number 2, and number 3, and number 5 as presented.
So moved.
We got a motion by Commissioner Shanefield to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Point of order. Christina, signed by the chairman or not?
Mr. Chairman, no, you will get that honor in March with the actual agreements.
Thank you. So the original motion, original second stands. Any further discussion, commissioners? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same motion. or same sign? Motion carries. That leaves us to motion number 4, which is entertain a motion to move to approve lost donations or other revenue for application number 21 up to the amount of the available charitable relief funding and not to exceed the requested amount contingent upon documentary verification of compliance with the emergency rules for the Community Charitable Relief Program as determined by Sweetwater County.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Christina, great job. I know there's still work ahead, both to you and your committee, but as well as I think Commissioner Shanefield, you've been on the front edge on this to help organize it.
Christina and Sally have kind of taken it away and done a great job. So I'd love
No.
to take credit, but not as much.
All right, Christina and Sally, very good. My whole desires is not a penny, goes back to the state. Thank you. Any other at this point in time, commissioners? Thank you, Christina. Thanks for your work. Be safe. With that, commissioners, moving on with our agenda, we do have other. Is there anything for the good of the order, commissioners, under other? Looking up and down the table, I see none. With that, commissioners, we do have executive session scheduled. First off is personnel and contracts, and then real estate. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Shanefield. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll go into executive